he say to that?
It tickles my fancy.
Okay.
Goosies.
I don't have hair.
Oof.
You got Marcos.
That's not.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's true. You do got me. Get over here, Marcus. Let me look at you.
They don't want it.
Tobin and Leroy, ready to deploy. Had to hit it with a little journalism, but that was a decoy. Better have about me, boy. Okay. Leroy and Tobin, hold to the show, man. Still in the sauce with the show, and till then his half moon open. Sometimes go taste like a snowman. No proof, I'm a lie about a motor. No proof. Like I always wanted him, I never hated him, I never traded him, and if I did, I never ever traded him. You know what is a star? Like under the city, the driver's like flag. Wish I could large, so many more. 10 in the more, never a bar. 8, 10 in the more, 2 to the P. Nothing to you, but it's something to me. Ultimate as ever, and cute as can be. You can watch it on YouTube with viewing for free. Ay. This one time for the Twitch. This one time for the text. This one time for the phone line. Whole time wonder what they gonna do next.
You know, I just wish you guys stopped the.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome on in. It is Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Take you up until 2 this morning. How you doing, Leroy? Leroy? Did he freeze?
This is for dramatic effect.
Huh.
Maybe he did a thing, and
I don't know. I swear he heard me earlier in the show. We were talking before the show, but he's just staring up. You can hear me though, right, Marcos?
Yes, you sound heavenly.
Wow. Very strange. Does he even realize we've started the show?
Oh, he's locked into whatever he is exactly.
He's locked the bleep in. Wow. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna have to call him up here and see what's going on. Hey, dude, do you realize we started the radio show? Nope, just staring at us.
Just angrily staring at us too. He's upset. Something happened.
Something happened.
I think he's now realizing that.
Now he's realizing he can't hear us.
This is great. Great.
All right. Oh, plug that in. Did that work? A little shifty shift?
Yeah, I love actually watching him work through the motion.
Me too. It's always exciting. It's always thrilling to just get off the ground running and figuring out what's going on here with his whole technological situation.
He's like Tua. He's working through his options.
Working through it.
Sees Barrios, Smythe. Not going to get them the ball.
Do you think does he know he can't hear us? Is he even looking at us, you think? I don't know.
If I do, I feel like people have a natural affliction to mimicking. If I put a thumbs up, will he copy me with a thumbs up?
Hold on, let me call him and see if he realizes. Oh wait, I just left.
Oh, he left.
He left. All
He's
right,
had enough, dude.
He's had enough. It was fun while it lasted. We've had enough shenanigans for today. Well, welcome on in, everybody. We'll get to some headlines here brought to you by the new Palmetto Ford Truck Super Center. Why buy your truck at a car store? Palmetto Ford.
We know trucks.
Just not the same when you don't have the toy car there, though, dude.
No.
I don't know what to tell you. Miami Heat, they're back on the hardwood tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. Terry Rozier, he has arrived in Miami. Flew in last night. Seems very excited. He's going to wear number 2 for the Miami Heat. And he's officially questionable for tonight's tip-off at 7:30. So we're keeping a look on that. Nothing to do with, I guess, how they just got to pass their physicals and whatnot. So, hopefully we will get tonight the debut of Scary Terry on the Miami Heat. But I will keep abreast on social media to see if we get a decision on that with Terry Rozier. But I would think, look, he is here. It doesn't sound even like I was listening to Mitch Kupchak of the Hornets yesterday. They're not even going to play Kyle Lowry till at least after the All-Star, after the trade deadline. So I don't really know. Even if Kyle were to not show up, I don't think that that's going to deter the league from letting Terry Rozier make his debut if he wanted to make his debut. Is your tab muted, Leroy? I bet you his tab's muted because he was he was in studio yesterday. Hold on.
Hey, you know what?
Let's solve this in 3 seconds. Let's just
you
call him up.
diagnosed this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. You did well.
100%. That's what happened.
I can hear him.
Dude, unmute your tab. You were in studio yesterday.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's unmuted.
Mm-hmm.
It's unmuted.
No.
Nah, I don't trust him.
Why are you muting him, JFig? This is the only way we could hear him.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
Make sure you have the right mic selected, dude. Make sure you have the right mic selected. All right,
Look,
we'll get Leroy situated during the break.
What all fails? I just turned it off and turned it back on, dude.
It looks like he tried to do that, but I don't know. You know, he takes one trip to the studio and everything goes to hell with his home setup. You know, so he may need to get IT in there to fix things. He's giving me the old Michael Jordan shrug as if he just hit the game winner. But anyway, so we'll keep an eye on the Terry Rozier thing when we officially get word of whether or not he's going to be able to play. I'd imagine we're going to get that at some point during today's show. Either way, your boy's going to be boots on the ground tonight at the Kaseya Center as we have a home back-to-back coming on up. Wow. 7:30 tip. You, of course, can hear that right here on 560 WQAM. Meanwhile, we have to get into this at some point. The Bucks fired their head coach inexplicably with a 30-13 record. They really must have hated that guy, or Giannis is just he's a bit of a coach floozy because he's like, oh, no, this isn't the guy. Or maybe Damian Lillard hates him. I don't know. But this Adrian Griffin is getting the heave-ho after a time where he has the best record after he has the second best record in the NBA after 43 games. And the Milwaukee Bucks are like, no thanks, hit the brakes. And apparently they're going to hire Doc Rivers. So it's a crazy thing that we got going on in the Eastern Conference.
I'm looking for, like, this has to be one of the rare occasions in which, like, one of the most winningest coaches gets fired, right? Like,
I think it happened with David Blatt. David Blatt had a really good record. Everybody knew LeBron hated his guts, and they were going to make a change there. And then eventually they were in the middle of the season. Now, they had gone to the finals. He did get to go to the finals one time. He was not in his first season. Mind you, David Blatt was not the choice to coach LeBron James. It's a little bit of a different situation because David Blatt, you know, he thought he was going to be coaching a rebuilding Cavs team, and they hired this guy that nobody had really had heard of. He wasn't like this huge pedigree head coaching hire. And then all of a sudden LeBron, because he worked in the shadows, he just is like, hey, I'm going back to Cleveland. Surprise.
Man.
And you know, he was a boob on the microphone because he'd say things like, you know, a coach is a lot like a fighter pilot, you know, with all the decisions that you have to make. Because he made some crazy decisions. There was one where like there was one game where like the Cavs, I think, would have gone down like 3-1 in a series, and he was about to call timeout with no timeouts left, and that was a technical foul, and it was like and the refs thankfully ignored him, and so they were able to avoid that. But it could have been like an all-time coaching gaffe for David Blatt. But again, he wasn't chosen. Like, one of the things that's interesting about this Adrian Griffin hire is that like Giannis like chose this guy. Like there was reports yesterday that like the organization wanted to hire Nick Nurse, and he was like, no, I don't want to hire. I don't want to play for Nick Nurse. I don't want to play for Nick Nurse. I want to play for this guy. But apparently he lost the locker room like that. There were memes of like Giannis drawing up his own plays with Damian Lillard right next to him, which Damian Lillard just has to be like, oh, this is awesome. I love it. It was interesting to see yesterday, Marcos. A lot of people. The funny thing about it, though, nationally, is, you know, I will say for Giannis, for a guy to get a coach canned 43 games into the season, I feel like most people are going to be like, what is the dysfunction going on there? How can all this stuff be going on with the Cavaliers? And yet, somehow this Giannis has charmed all of us with eliminating failure. Remember, failure is not a real thing. There's no such thing as failure. Failure is not an option. Failures are just steps to success. Okay, there is no failure. All right, all losers are just trying to succeed. It's, you know, it's almost like when Cam Cameron said, "Fail forward fast." That's kind of what Giannis is saying, except there is no failure. There is no failure, and there is nothing. Just steps to success, dude. Just steps to success. So we'll get more into that. We, of course, we'll hear from probably the head coaching front runner for the Bucks job and get to that. But let's get Leroy situated. We'll take a break. Wes Goldberg, he's going to join us later on this hour. We'll talk some Heat with him and get this all situated with Leroy Horde and his setup there. And back after this.
Got what you pets safe. Call today, 954-842-9411 or qualitypestinc.com.
The University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute experts treat athletes of all levels, elite pros, active adults, and youth athletes. You'll receive pro-level care from the sports.
Hey, Leroy, talk a little bit.
What's
up? All right. Oh, we're back in a minute, everybody.
Progressive knows we're all.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Tobin and Leroy. Hello, Leroy.
Hello.
Man, all
I
right.
showed up like JFig today.
We're off running, baby. We're off running. A lot of weird stories to get to today. Wes Goldberg is going to join us in about 15 minutes. We will talk about the scary Terry deal with him. He arrives in Miami yesterday on the PJ.
Saw footage.
Yep. And
not very tall.
No, 6'1", but 6'8" wingspan. Didn't know that. I gotta be honest with you.
So basically, he has the tippy toe, so he doesn't drag his knuckles on the ground.
Love wingspan, dude. Who doesn't love wingspan? You want to excite somebody? You talk about that wingspan. That's gonna get everybody going in basketball.
What about footwork?
Oh, footwork, dude. I love footwork too. I love footwork too.
How when you combine the two, footwork and wingspan? What are we even doing here?
It could be good. It could be good.
What are you doing, Marcos? Already?
Wow. What am I to do with the Tyreek Hill story yesterday? Because it's very weird. I don't normally talk divorce unless it's like super famous, like Tom Brady and Giselle, power couple splitting up. But he comments on this on Twitter, so I kind of feel like this is fair game. When he files for divorce and there's records of it, but then is like, we didn't divorce. What the hell's going on there? Because they're not acting like social media wise, they're not acting like a divorced couple. Why is there a divorce? Why is there divorce records? What's going on?
Here's what I do. Right? That's above my pay grade. None of us know what that relationship is, what they going through, or what have you. And I try to avoid real life issues in this forum. You see what I'm saying? I get, we're responding and people are responding to him on Twitter. But I would guess that they're going through something, whatever that may be. It could be nothing. And you just let them live their life.
That was crazy.
I know. Man, we all go through stuff. You know what I mean? Just imagine if your stuff was public record. You can't live like that. So I just avoid it.
Florida is very big with the public records, and it is on public record that there is a petition for divorce. And so the Sun Sentinel just reported on this because, and I think part of the reason it was reported on is because it was very public that he had just gotten married on Hard Knocks. You know, he gives the ball to his wife every time he scores. They, of course, just went through a very scary situation with a fire. But then Tyreek Hill comes out like immediately after this gets reported on social media to deny it and saying, boy, no, the heck we didn't. So don't put that in the air. We're happily married and going to stay that way. Right. And I mean, look, they were posting each other on Instagram yesterday. So I don't know. It was a strange story.
Sometimes people get in arguments and they make decisions that they soon after regret.
Yeah, maybe.
And I don't know if that's the case or not. And to be honest with you, I don't care. It ain't none of my business. My business with Tyreek Hill has strictly to do with him catching the ball for the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
That's it. And stay out of people's personal life until it affects the other portion of it. You see what I'm saying? And so with all the stuff going on in the world, I choose not to even, entertain what a couple is going through.
What if he was hacked? Can you hack into the courthouse?
Oh, you don't think his Twitter was hacked?
No. Listen, I don't think anybody. We definitely know Tyreek Hill. He holds that Twitter to his because he comments on everything. That man is a Twitter menace.
Right.
But is it possible like somebody went into the courthouse and was like, yeah, this is a Tyreek. Maybe there's there was another love interest, or there's some shenanigans going. Oh, this is Tyreek Hill. Yeah, we're gonna break up that marriage. It's just such a weird story. I've never seen anything like that.
Again, that's why you leave it alone and let them do what they do, right? Like it ain't really none of our business. And I just try to stay out of it because, I've been in a locker room where, situations get a little sketchy, and I just say, hey, play football. This is my relationship with you. You know what I mean? I don't know what you got going on once you leave this building. And until your decisions outside of the building affect what happens in this building, you do you. Like, I don't know. We don't know the conversations they have. We don't know their relationship. We don't know that. So I'm not going to sit here and comment on something that we really don't know what's going on. And anything that we would or wouldn't say doesn't have 1 ounce of fact, except for the fact of that public record.
I think for Tyreek Hill, I think he thinks Twitter is more public record than the courts.
Well, they certainly hold you to it for the rest of your life. Like, you can go to the courthouse and change your mind. But if you put it on Twitter,
no deletes.
And no deletes. So, and why wouldn't he think that? I mean, what happened if they got in an argument and he said, you know what? I'm going to courthouse right now.
I wonder if this is freezing cold takes off limits for freezing cold takes.
Yeah, I do, man. Like, we have friends and we have family members, and you don't know what those relationships are like. You only see them in public. You only see them at family functions. You don't know the dynamics of that relationship. So I just don't get involved. And that applies even more so with somebody I don't know.
Well, somebody we do know, Wes Goldberg. Love talking Heat with him. Locked On Heat podcast. We will talk to Wes coming on up about the scary Terry deal and other NBA and Heat shenanigans coming up next.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine.
You're going Halloween music, Marcos, for Scary Terry?
Gary Terry.
Wow. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with U56 WQAM. Miami Heat finally making a significant trade. You know, finally doing some roster changes, spicing things up around here, Leroy. Let's talk about it with our guy, Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat. He joins us on the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms. The Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. You can watch, listen to Wes Goldberg on the Locked On Heat podcast on YouTube, on every podcast platform. Him and Dave Vermeil, they're boots on the ground. They do a great job covering the Heat every single day. And we always like when he stops by on the program. What's going on, man? Where are you?
What's up,
what you
Wes?
got going on there? It's like, what are you in a cabin? You got some nice wood panel going on there?
Just one wood panel just to make it look like I'm in a cabin.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it, man.
Yeah. Smokes and mirrors.
What was your reaction yesterday? I think we all kind of felt like the Kyle Lowry thing was going to have some kind of a conclusion, but them actually pulling the trigger, you know, it still was like, oh, finally, because we've been dealing in trade fodderville for a long time. So your reaction to the deal and it going down yesterday.
You know what? It was one of those things where even when you expect it, it's kind of surprising when it happens, right? I mean, the Kyle Lowry thing had clearly run its course. He had lost the starting job. It kind of felt like the team was looking for any excuse to kind of pull him from the starting lineup. The production was down. He literally ranked last in the league among starting point guards in points per game, shot attempts per game, and assists per game. And, you know, he's 37 years old on an expiring contract. You kind of combine all those things and the fact that Miami is sort of operating with a limited championship window, and it made sense that they were going to try and shop him. And the Terry Rozier thing always made sense too. Charlotte's going nowhere fast. They stink. They have no reason to hold on to Terry Rozier. He's a good player. You move him, you get an expiring contract and a draft pick back for Charlotte. We had heard the Terry Rozier stuff, and we had talked about it on Locked On Heat. Like, this is sort of the guy that makes sense. And then you start actually hearing about, oh, the Heat are actually looking at Terry Rozier because they think he's a fit. And up until, I would say, the night before, even at the Heat Gala, I was hearing stuff like they're really kind of kicking the tires on Terry Rozier, and this thing could happen sooner rather than later. And then, of course, you know, the next morning, it all goes down.
So my question is this. Every time you add a new dynamic, and I think Kyle Lowry went through this. Kyle Lowry put up more shots and was more active when Jimmy or Tyler were out. And when they were playing, he tried to facilitate, which is against everything that the Heat believe in. They believe everybody go get their shot. When you don't have your shot, somebody else will be open, but you always push that envelope. What's going to happen when Terry gets here? And now you got Tyler, Bam, Jimmy, and Terry. Are we going to be in the same boat? Like everybody's going to try to, you know, sit back and let the other guy eat, because in effect, you're in the same boat with a better player.
Right. It's going to be clunky at first. I don't think anybody expects this thing to be smooth right away. And you've got to try to figure out how to get those four guys that you were just talking about, Leroy, on the court at the same time for as many minutes as possible now so that they can iron out some of those kinks. But Jimmy doesn't want to be taking a bunch of shots. Right. Bam is probably taking too many shots right now. And I think his defense has slipped a little bit from maybe, you know, top 5 guy in the league to maybe top 10. But he could not take as many shots and maybe put even more energy in on the defensive end and kind of go for this Defensive Player of the Year award that he wants so badly. So I think all of this is going to be good. If Terry Rozier kind of takes more off of those guys' plates, Jimmy Butler could be more of a two-way presence. Bam Adebayo could be more of a two-way presence and be maybe a little bit more efficient and not have to force as many shots as he does, especially late in shot clocks lately. It's been a lot of him trying to bail out the offense. If you have another guy who's able to run pick and roll, and Terry Rozier, this is like a Synergy Sports stat, is like the second highest rated pick and roll handler in the NBA this season. Like, he is a good pick and roll player. You put him, and he was doing that with a bunch of like no-name guys in Charlotte, like Nick Richards and stuff. You put him with maybe the best screen setter in the NBA and Bam Adebayo, one of the best roll guys in the NBA. Like, that pick and roll attack could be deadly. And then, of course, you're talking about what happens with Tyler Hero. I think Spo will stagger Rozier and Tyler Hero in their minutes so that one of them is always on the court and they're probably not sharing the court as much together. But when Rozier and Tyler Hero do play together, maybe that puts Tyler Hero off the ball a little bit more. And Tyler Hero was even talking about this at practice yesterday about how, both him and Terry Rozier can operate on the ball. They can operate off the ball. So they're going to have to figure out sort of the best chemistry of all those things. But that's why you do that trade now, as opposed to waiting all the way until February 8th, is so you get your guys as much time as possible to figure these things out.
How desperate do you think they were, Wes, just to get some kind of offensive punch? Because we know that the franchise's identity is defense, but you see every night just the crazy scoring. You got to be able to keep up. Like you can't go and win these body blow contests every single night. You're gonna wear out, and there's gonna be a night where some teams just get hot anyway. So just the idea that they kind of had to get with the times a little bit with their roster. Do you think that was an important factor in making a move like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this team was 20th on offense. They stunk. Like they couldn't score. This is a team that was going 6 of 8 games without cracking 100 points or something like that. This team had a hard time scoring, and even when they did score, it wasn't the most efficient shots. This team is so reliant on mid-range jumpers and the three-pointer. They barely get to the rim, and that was the reason why I think Terry Rozier was such a good fit for them. Terry Rozier takes 4.5 shots at the basket within the restricted area. Not these cute foul line jumpers or sort of in the paint. At the basket. He gets 4.5 attempts at the basket per game this year. That's twice what Tyler Hero gets. It's more than 4 times what Kyle Lowry was averaging. It's the equivalent of adding sort of another Jimmy Butler and a Bam Adebayo into the offense in terms of what they get at the rim. And I think that rim pressure is so important because we already see what Jimmy and Bam can do from a rim pressure standpoint. They get to the basket, and what do? They either score, they get fouled, or they kick out to those three-point shooters. Terry Rozier is going to help that drive that formula on offense. And by the way, we have sort of seen Eric Spoelstra acknowledge that this team needs to get better offensively. A lot of the lineups that he's been playing have been leaning more offense. Nikola Jovic starting 10 games. You're not doing that for defense, man. You're doing that for offense. Playing Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson more often together. I know some injuries are a factor here, but he has been more willing over about the last year and a half to play those guys together more, despite some of the defensive shortcomings that they have. In today's NBA, it's actually more important to be a top 10 offense than it is to be a top 10 defense. We're starting to see that trend. The Denver Nuggets last year, the Milwaukee Bucks the year before that, the Phoenix Suns got to the NBA Finals with a similar formula. You have to basically be top 10 in defense or in offense and be kind of in the top 12 to 13 defensively. Miami's 10th in defensive rating. They were 20th on offensive rating. They just had to get better.
That's because of the 3-point shot, right? Everybody shoots the ball so well from outside. You can't just hunker down and play defense because somebody will just take a 30-footer.
Yeah, and teams come back now too. I mean, you can hold a team to 90 points until 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the next thing you know, because of that 3-point shot, they can make 4 3-pointers in a row, and boom, you've just given up 100+ points in that game. So, leads aren't safe. And the other thing too is that a lot of these top 10 offenses have guys who can score easy buckets. Whether it's Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, all these guys are just big and strong and can just get their shots. The Heat don't really have that guy. Jimmy Butler can sort of be that guy in the postseason, but even then, he's sort of muscling his way into shots. I wouldn't consider any of Jimmy Butler's shot making in the playoffs as much as it is easy, right? They don't really have an easy shot creator, and that's why I think their offense tends to struggle and rely on some of those more inefficient spots like in the mid-range. But if you're go ahead.
Yeah, it's also with Jimmy. It's such a strange thing. I was looking at this yesterday. We were looking at all the crazy scoring numbers, and Jimmy's if you go to his postseason record, 13 out of his top 15 are with the Heat. Do you know, out of his regular season, 2. He's never scored 40 in the regular season with the Heat. It's weird.
Right.
And I'm all for, hey, we can do it against anybody and take the play in, and that's great, but who wouldn't want it to be a little easier if you can make your path a little bit easier? I mean, you don't have to ram your head into this.
70 points the other night. Karl-Anthony Towns had 62 in a loss. You have people routinely scoring 30, 40 points per game. You have multiple players averaging 30 or close to it this season. The Heat don't even come close to that. And I always say this about Jimmy Butler. The Heat have a postseason superstar. They do not have a regular season superstar. And you look at the top teams in the league, and they have regular season superstars. So if you don't have, that's whatever. That's the Jimmy Butler way. That's his strategy. He's going to hold it until the playoffs. But you need to win games in the regular season. right? You have to get into the playoffs. You don't want to be in the play-in mix. You got to try to get some home court advantage, maybe a top 4 seed in the East. So if you're not going to get that superstar, which we know the Heat have been looking for, right? Whether it was Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, whatever, Damian Lillard, obviously, they couldn't get those guys. All right, well, if we're not going to get that guy, then let's just have a bunch of different guys who might be able to go off for 30-plus points on any given night. If we're not going to be able to rely on one, can we just sort of increase our variance with a Terry Rozier in addition to Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler? Those 3 guys can go off for 30. Kyle Lowry wasn't ever going off for 30 points again, right? We've already seen his last 30-point game. Terry Rozier could go off for 30 points in multiple games for the rest of the season. And so I think that's sort of the bet.
We were wondering this, Wes, because we were talking about the connection of Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. For them being together for 5 seasons seems way more clunky than it should have been. It feels like it's gotten clunkier. Like I feel like Bam and Tyler used to have a little something together. I don't know. It just seems more of a mess this year. Do you feel like adding Terry and, maybe getting Jaime back will fix that? Or do you think that the Heat are looking at these next couple of weeks and, Tyler's kind of the guy you got to keep your eye on because they're not getting rid of Jimmy. They're not getting rid of Bam. Do you think there's still a big shuffle this team could make, knowing that, if this seems like what it is, where like these guys just aren't in this kind of synergy together, that maybe we got to blow something up there too with our stars? Or do you think that they're going to give them one run this year and see where it's at? Because it's a big year for Tyler to prove that he can be a playoff player.
They're going to give him one more run. We'll see these guys in the playoffs all together trying to get it. But I think also part of the clunkiness, and you're absolutely right, they've been trying to work in some of these other players. Like you're working in Nikola Jovic here. You're kind of playing 4-on-5 a lot when Kyle Lowry was on the court. Even if your 4 were Bam, Tyler, Jimmy, and somebody else, it's really hard to function offensively. You look at some of this pick and roll stuff, even with Tyler and Bam, if they run pick and roll, everybody's crashing the paint. That's why it also kind of looks clunky. This team had no room to operate because Kyle Lowry was a non-threat on offense, and that's why he ultimately ended up going to the bench. You need to have people who are threats to kind of space out the floor and stuff. So I think there's going to be a domino effect with the Terry Rozier signing here because it gives extra ball handling. You're not forcing Josh Richardson to play out of position as a quote unquote point guard, so he could play off the ball a little bit more, get into those catch and shoot attempts. You're not worried opponents aren't going to be able to play off of Kyle Lowry. You have to respect Terry Rozier across the 3-point arc. You have to do all these things. And I think that's going to create space for everybody else. And I don't think that you necessarily need to have Nikola Jovic start anymore because of what he brings offensively. You can almost lean defense there, go Haywood Highsmith again at the 4 spot, have him space the floor from the corners. And then it's less, hey, we need Nico to get his touches. We need Lowry to kind of do some stuff over here. How can we function Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo together? When does Jimmy Butler want to take over? When do we need to let Jaime Jaquez cook? And all these things. If you're less worried about all those kind of other pieces, then you can kind of start to find some chemistry. I just think that they've been trying to work through the other options, and they didn't really focus so much on the thing that they already know, which is Bam and Tyler can run pick and roll together. We're not worried about that. Jimmy Butler's going to take over in the postseason. We're not worried about that. But what are these other things? And I think they just got to figure out the answers to those other things, and then they can kind of refocus everything onto where their best actions are offensively.
Is a lot of this because they were playing 4-on-5, you started seeing a lot of other guys trying to be aggressive and get the ball in the paint. So Dunks has gotten that game. And we almost lost a lot of the 3-point shooting because guys were trying to be aggressive and get to the rim and create fouls and stuff like that when they should be shooting threes. Like me and Tobin had this conversation earlier. Listen, I love the fact that Dunks has opened up his bag a little bit and got, and expanded on his game, but you're our 3-point shooter.
Right.
Right. And he can't do that because, nobody's fouling. When he's not making threes, it looks even worse offensively. And so he developed other things so that when he wasn't making threes, he could still play.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this all along. I thought okay, cool. You can make a layup now. That's cute. And it's great. And I think it helps when guys close out hard on you, but you're above average as a layup maker, as a driver. You're elite. You're top 1% in the league at making threes. We need you doing the thing that you're the best in the league at versus, doing the thing that you're okay at more often than not. And I did think that he was trying to I thought the layups were there, but sometimes I'd rather just have a contested 3-pointer from Duncan Robinson than an open layup, as crazy as that sounds, because like you were saying, you need to hit a threshold of 3-point shot attempts per game. Miami is top 5 in the league in 3-point percentage, or have been for most of the year. But they're kind of in the middle of the pack in terms of field goal attempts. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Get more of them up. I would trust a contested 3-pointer from Duncan Robinson. Give me 3 of those a game. I have no problem with that. There's a reason why the coaching staff has given him the green light. Now, obviously, if the layups are there, you got to attack it, but you can't fall in love with it in a weird way if you're Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson also knows this. He doesn't take mid-range shots because he knows Tyler, Jimmy, and Bam are eating up the mid-range shots. So he knows if I'm taking those mid-range shots, I've talked to him about this. Like, he's like, if I'm taking them, then we're just even more inefficient. I can only do at the basket, and I can only take shots from 3-point range. And I think more players kind of have to figure that part out. But also, when the stuff at the rim is there, they have to take it. The other night against Toronto, no Jakob Poeltl, no Pascal Siakam, and that team just fell in love with the 3-point shot, even though it wasn't falling. Sometimes you also just got to say, you know what, the heck with the 3-pointer. If we have those drives at the basket available, we got to force the issue. The one thing that this team can't fall in love with are the long 2-pointers. That's the thing that they can't fall in love with, and they have to work through that and try to move some of that stuff out of the offense and replace some of those shots with either threes or shots at the basket.
Before we get you out of here, Wes, what the hell was your reaction to the Milwaukee Bucks firing their coach?
Again, sort of with the Kyle Lowry thing, kind of expected it to happen eventually, but a little surprised that it happened now, right? And so, look, Adrian Griffin was never the guy. He never made sense for them. He was a rookie coach trying to coach a championship contending team. And as soon as Giannis was out, man, he's pulling the LeBron James playbook, isn't he? Like, he's like, as soon as I'm out, he's out. As soon as I'm not buying in, that guy's fired. So we'll see if Doc Rivers can right the ship for them. But, based on what we've seen earlier this season, I know the record was good, but that team was discombobulated. They weren't locked in defensively.
They were getting scored on. I've never. They give up 125. They got to score 140 to win.
And a lot of people would pin it on, well, you lost Drew Holiday and replaced him with Damian Lillard. Okay, yeah, that's going to drop your defensive rating, obviously. But when you're not even getting back in transition, that's not a personnel issue. That's a coaching issue. That, if you're not getting back in transition, you're not boxing out, rebounding. Like, if you have Giannis and Brook Lopez, you should still be an elite, and Bobby Portis, you should be an elite rebounding team, and they weren't. So they weren't locked in. They weren't buying in. And I think that's why they think Doc Rivers is going to work, is because the idea, at least, is he can get them to buy in. And they weren't buying in under Adrian Griffin.
He's Wes Goldberg, Locked On Heat. Go check him and Dave Ramil out. Their podcast is fantastic on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Locked On Heat. You can get it on the Odyssey app as well. Appreciate the time, Wes. Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. We'll take a quick break. Hour two coming up next.
Listen to WQAM for Cat Talk. Time for our Tua.
It's our Tua. It's our Tua. It's our Tua. Tua, Tua, Tua. Tonga Vailoa. Not
Tua Tagovailoa.
A for effort. Dolphins quarterback.
Tua.
It's our Tua. It's our Tua.
Tua.
Tua, Tua, Tua. Tua, Tua, Tua. Can go to hell. Tua Tonga Vailoa. Dolphins quarterback.
Daddy loves you guys.
Our Tua with Tobin and Leroy.
Check the history of food.
Hour two of the program, ladies and gentlemen. Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Let's get to our headlines. Brought to you by the new Palmetto Ford Truck Super Center. Why buy your truck at a car store? Palmetto Ford.
We know trucks.
Miami Heat back on the hardwood tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. Very banged up team. No Ja, no Desmond Bain. It's going to be Jaren Jackson Jr. and them boys. So they're very banged up. So I'm fully expecting the Heat to have a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. Fully expecting to be holding on to my ass cheeks in light of this game.
Pretty much.
So we'll wonder. We'll keep an eye if we're able to get a word today, official word on Terry Rozier. He's officially listed as questionable for today because apparently both players have to report. We know he's down here because they showed it.
Yeah.
The Hornets yesterday were like, yeah, we're not even going to play Kyle Lowry till after the trade deadline if they do pay him. So we'll see. I'm hopeful that he gets to go tonight. If not, I imagine it's tomorrow. Celtics home back to back, but I'm sure they want to get Terry Rozier out there wearing number 2, Leroy.
Yeah,
number 2 for old scary Terry. The Baseball Hall of Fame. This class has been announced. They actually voted people in this year, Leroy. How about that? They decided not to be complete curmudgeons.
Yeah, that's
they voted in Todd Helton from the Colorado Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
Strong dad bod in retirement. I saw him yesterday. Joe Mauer, great hitting catcher for the Minnesota Twins. So I think both of them very deserving. Adrian Beltre got in, which I was like, I didn't know if they were
right.
I didn't know if they were going to get Adrian Beltre. I will say with Adrian Beltre though, if Adrian Beltre is getting in, but Gary Sheffield's not, that's a little weird.
Right.
That's a little weird. Gary Sheffield comes up short his last year on the ballot. He got over 60% of the vote, but he now falls off the ballot. And Mike White, Dolphins backup quarterback, South Florida guy, he's upset. He says Gary Sheffield, Marlins legend, belongs in the Hall of Fame. Every year, baseball writers find a way to embarrass themselves and the Hall of Fame process. Get over yourselves. What a joke. Wow. Yeah. I got to tell you, with Mike White, who I have previously said, I wish him no success. I wish him no success just because I don't want him on the field, not because I want bad things. It's not that I wish him to fail. I just wish him no success because I didn't want him to succeed because that would have meant no Tua. So It's not nothing against Mike White. I just wish him no success. So I think I got to change it now because of this feeling. I do wish him success. Wow. And great fortune in his life for having this stand on Gary Sheffield, who, I mean, first of all, is obviously a Hall of Famer, but also the coolest batting stance of all time.
Oh, yeah. The bat waggle.
What? Who has not done the bat waggle? Who has not done, was it called the Chef's Kiss? Is that what the name of it was? What the hell did he, what is he suspect? What is he suspected of? Because he rubbed some clear on himself?
I don't know, man.
Ridiculous.
I think one of the things I hate about all of this is that basically what we do is we pick and choose who we choose to like, who we choose to vote for. And this is not a conversation that should be had of who's liked and who's not liked. This is a conversation about your accomplishments in the sport. And with everything that you've done, can you be considered one of the all-time greats? That's it. And I think it's funny because a reporter will say, well, Barry Bonds wasn't fun to talk to and he wasn't very friendly. And then you turn around and do the same damn thing when it comes to voting for the Hall of Fame. He wasn't very nice to me, right? He didn't give me, an interview when I wanted it, or he was standoffish towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And we pick and choose because a lot of times, if you're likable, you'll get a pass. And that's where I have a problem with all this, is that I don't, and I would say the same thing about Bill Belichick.
Big Papi's in the Hall of Fame. I just want to know,
right. That's because everybody likes Big Papi.
Big Papi's in the Hall of Fame. Why the hell is Gary Sheffield not in the Hall of Fame? I want to know. Because why? Because Barry Bonds rubbed some cream on his injured knee. That's why.
Right.
Because of the book Game of Shadows. Where's his test? Where?
Right.
Where's his test? Where's his suspension? Where is it? Gary Sheffield is an OG. And you know what? I'm a little salty because the Marlins have been around for as long as they have. No Hall of Famers. Nobody with a Marlins cap in Cooperstown. Gary Sheffield has said that he wants to go in as a Marlin. Played for several teams, but says he wants to go in as a Marlin. Yeah, I see this Todd Helton and his beer belly. You want to know who cheated their entire career? Todd Helton, because he played in illegal air, dude. That guy played at Coors Field his entire career, and you're telling me that didn't buoy some numbers? Todd Helton, I don't want to take away from your accomplishments, dude. I mean, you're very good.
But see what I'm saying? And I hate getting caught up in that you're discrediting somebody else because of your guy. And that's what I hate.
But it's just like these are just it's such like we're playing like the writers, the stuffy baseball writers that with their katanas out. And look, he got a lot of the votes, so I do think a lot of people came around. But it's like a no-brainer. He shouldn't even had to have waited this long to get to the point where he's going to fall off the ballot. Same with Barry Bonds. I've done the Barry Bonds thing for the greatest player I've ever seen. I think this is stupid that he's not in there. But come on, dude. Let's leave. Let me just. Do you know Adrian Beltre never used steroids? All of you writers, do you know? No. Because I'll go to his baseball reference and I'll look at his home runs and 48 home runs in 2004. That doesn't stick out in his career at all. Just out of the rest of his career, in the heyday of the steroid era, nearly 50 home runs for Adrian Beltre, who's awesome. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be in. I'm glad Adrian Beltre's in, but do you know how silly this is? That Pudge is in and Adrian Beltre gets in and Poppy's in, but Barry Bonds and Gary Sheffield do not, and A-Rod's not going to get in, and you guys are just like, we gotta have a stand somewhere. You've already bent, losers. Just admit it. We all had the most fun when there were steroids. It was the best. You don't know who's doing it. I don't know who's doing it. I assume everybody's doing it, but you don't know who's doing it. D. Gordon popped for steroids. Did you eye test that one? Bartolo Colon. Did you eye test that one? Oh, no, but Game of Shadows told me Gary Sheffield got a box of steroids. Yeah, all right. So did Peyton Manning. Said to his wife. Ridiculous. I'm sorry, Gary. But you know what? The Marlins should retire Gary Sheffield's number. Retire number 10. You know what? If they're not going to do it, Bruce Sherman, since you're not signing any players, get off your ass, you and Jeff Conine, and do me a favor, and let's honor some damn history for once in our lifetime with this franchise, okay? Gary Sheffield was the best home run hitter this franchise had seen before Mike Stanton, Giancarlo Stanton. Both of them were really good. Put Gary Sheffield. Let's finally retire a number. Let's put number 10 up in Marlins Park and celebrate something.
There's no numbers, right? No
Nobody's been, yeah, no numbers have retired. They retired like a team president, then they unretired for Logan Morrison.
He said,
Logan Morrison got a number unretired. But like, no, in all seriousness, what is this? What in all reality, what are we doing that this man is not in the Hall of Fame? Congratulations to Todd Helton. Deserved. Joe Mauer, dude, never struck out. Great hitter. To do it at that position, amazing. Adrian Beltre, peak of consistency.
He was such a good hitter. Mauer, they tried to move him around in the fields just so they could keep his bat.
Exactly. Yeah. But for Gary Sheffield, for the true greats.
Here's what ruins your sport. When there's more of a conversation of who's not in the Hall of Fame than who is in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
That means your Hall of Fame loses credibility. When I can make a team with all the guys that aren't in the Hall of Fame and beat the crap out of the guys you inducted into the Hall of Fame, that's a problem. Think about it. Think about the guys we can make a roster with that aren't in the Hall of Fame for whatever reason.
Yep.
Versus who you have in the Hall of Fame.
Just silly. Sorry, Gary. Retire his number, Marlins. I'm telling you right now. Do it now. Have a Gary Sheffield day. We're going to give away Gary Sheffield bobbleheads with a little bat, the bat waggle. Okay.
Oh, no. You got to have, instead of a bobblehead, they need to have the bat wag. Wow.
He's good. He's good, people. Give him a point.
Hey.
That's why he's Game Ops.
Hey. Game Up. I'm telling you.
Point for Leroy.
Instead of the bobblehead, the head's still, and you shake that bat.
Yeah, it's the first bobble bat in history.
Bat.
The bobble bat in history.
Who else,
he's good.
Who else swung? He's the only one that swung that bat like that, right? It's amazing that he still had the energy.
It's crazy
to hit the ball.
I was watching him
swinging that big old bat like that.
Dude, but you know what? It's like he had such a method to it because I was watching some video the other day. I got like sucked in by Gary Sheffield teaching his son how to hit. And he's just like, yep. He's like, this is where you have to be always. And he was just always in the same place.
Right.
Crazy. Anyway.
It's amazing because a lot of great hitters can't teach other people how to hit. And part of the reason is it's hand-eye coordination. And that's a skill you can't really teach. You can teach somebody how to hit, but you can't teach them how to see, right? And it's just crazy. It's a crazy thing.
Take a quick break. Back after this. But first.
Hey, do you guys know that 60% of us lack vitamin D? And that resveratrol is a natural antioxidant and is used as an anti-inflammatory. So all the medications and stuff that you may take, you can get this stuff naturally. How do I know this? Because Bernie told me. A guy who popped more pills than a little bit, who had over 40 surgeries and had to take painkillers and anti-inflammatories and then had so many concussions we can't even count them. He put these ingredients in the coffee, and it's exclusive to Kosar Coffee. All you have to do is go to kosarcoffee.com and you can get whether it's merch. I got my merch. I'm going to go get it, right? I got to pull it out of the bag. You can buy merch. You can get your coffee. It's infused, like I said, with vitamin D and resveratrol. Drink it every morning. And guess what? I just drink it like a normal cup of coffee. Just go to kosarcoffee.com. And as Bernie always says, you matter.
Welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Taking you up until 2 here on the program. Heat Grizzlies tonight. Heat back in action. I'll be boots on the ground for that one. Hopefully it'll be Scary Terry's debut tonight. We'll see.
Well, they need all hands on deck.
What
are you talking about? We ain't got time to work guys in.
No, well, I don't think it's.
Wes even said it. You want them guys on the court as soon as possible so you can work out the kinks.
Oh, dude, I don't think it's a if the Heat have their ways, of course. I think it has to do with like league red tape or something. Like I think Kyle has to like report to the Hornets, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. Terry Rozier's in town. Kyle Lowry, the dude Kupchak from the Hornets was like, oh, we're not going to play him until after the All-Star break anyway. So I don't think it should be an issue, but listen, until it's official, it's official. I can't just jump the gun on things, Leroy.
All right.
I do think but I would agree. I would expect that he is going to make his debut tonight. I think that would be fun for everybody in the building to check that on out and get to that. But we're going to talk. There was some big news yesterday in WWE. WWE is going to Netflix. So we're going to talk to Denise Salcedo from WWE reporter. Got Royal Rumble coming up this week, and we'll get the lowdown on everything from her in about 10 minutes to discuss what's going on there. But Leroy, did you see this? Our boy Raheem Mostert, he's upset, and I feel bad for him.
What?
Yeah. What? Raheem Mostert, he was on his podcast and is upset because he feels like he was snubbed for all NFL at running back.
On my phone here, let me show you real quick. This is my screensaver. I put, all pro, right? That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be all pro. That was important to me. And unfortunately I didn't get that. I don't understand why I didn't. I didn't even get second team all pro, which is mind boggling because I still had 21 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards rushing and over 1,100 yards, total. But yeah, we can talk about that another time. I was a little frustrated when I found out that I didn't even make second team all pro, but
I can't complain because I did. So
wait, what?
But I will say this: I had like 1,400 total yards, 13 touchdowns as a fullback. So let's see who made it. Christian McCaffrey
was first team. I don't know if you can quibble with that if you are, but I think he's upset that
he's got 2,200 total yards.
I think he's upset that that Kyron Williams from the Rams got it over him.
Well, what was
Kyron he was at like 1,100 yards rushing, but he only had 12 touchdowns. They didn't have 21 touchdowns, Leroy.
Right. I think here's the problem. And here's why stuff like this sucks. It's never about the numbers all the time. Right? That's why guys who make the Pro Bowl 3 or 4 years in a row will make it 10 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the nature of, selecting those things. That being said, I think a lot of people on the Dolphins team are penalized because they play with Tyreek Hill. And
interesting.
When you look at the Dolphins, you don't talk about Raheem Mostert. You don't talk about Jalen Waddle. Hell, you even try to disrespect Tua because you say, oh, he's with Tyreek Hill. Oh, these guys are all eating because they're paying attention to Tyreek Hill.
I think Tyreek was the only Dolphin to make all NFL. So you might be onto something there.
And so, I mean, we've heard it all year. So doesn't come as a surprise if they're trying to diminish what Tua's done. How do you think all the other people are going to, what are they saying about Jalen Waddle? Oh, he wouldn't have those numbers if he wasn't playing next to Tyreek Hill. And it's amazing because everybody in the league is trying to get a Tyreek Hill. All these quarterbacks have started flourishing when they got somebody similar to Tyreek Hill. So guess what? What was Josh Allen before Diggs? Right? Lamar Jackson when they added all those weapons.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, again, this kind of goes to the Hall of Fame voting, is that some teams get looked at as why they shouldn't instead of what their actual accomplishments are. Because I've never seen a guy lead the league in passing, I think yards per attempt, more completions over 25 yards, right? And still be hit with the thing of weak arm, timing thrower. He's just not that dude.
I think the thing that sucks for Raheem too is like
What about Achane? Achane might have took a little sting from him too.
Yeah, but at least Achane, I mean, Achane, he had games out with him. I mean, and also, by the way, he did, Mostert did that with missing a couple of games too. So I think that even just speaks more to what he was able to do. But it is tough that he had to, that he's upset about that and that he loses out on something like that, especially because it's probably the best year. I mean, like, how do you top a year like that? It's a record-setting year.
Right.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Correct.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Come back, talk a little of this WWE monster deal that had gone down with Denise Salcedo. She's coming up next. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It is Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Hey, legendary metal band Pantera is coming to the Amerant Bank Arena this Saturday. If you want your chance to see them, log on. JFig are there. Rockville. Go to our contest page, WQAM.com, and you just might want a pair of tickets to see Pantera. This is a Live Nation show. Another live show is the Royal Rumble. That is this weekend at Tropicana Field. Tropicana, they're doing it at a baseball stadium. Huh, Leroy? I didn't that feels like a new thing going on, but I know that's kind of like their
but it's a
Central
closed.
Florida.
I mean, if they can do
closed.
football games, like why not?
Yeah, why not? So let's go out and talk a little bit about it. Let's go to the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. There, a great WWE reporter, Denise Salcedo, joining us there once again. We always appreciate when she gives us some time. Denise, how are you?
Hey, everyone. Good to be on again. Man, it's been an exciting last 24 hours. God, I can't wait to get into it.
All right. Well, let's start off with the news yesterday. That was crazy. So they signed this bazillion-dollar deal with Netflix. WWE Raw is going to Netflix. Netflix is getting into the live sporting entertainment world. What was your reaction to that going down yesterday? Because I think it had a lot of people stunned.
It definitely did. So the news broke super early in the morning. So I'm waking up and I'm like, I'm going to go check Twitter, see what's going on. Not really expecting anything out of the ordinary. I hop on and the first thing that I see is this news that WWE is going to be on Netflix. And right away I'm looking at the right accounts, right? Like this is exactly what's happening. And so right away, saw the press release, saw all of the news surrounding it. And it was just like, what? I think that this is a real exciting move because you and everybody here knows that Netflix, that's the streaming platform. And I feel like it's so integrated into society now where if you go out with your friends, with your family, and you're talking about this new show that you watched on Netflix, chances are that person's going to know about it or had seen it. And so because everybody has Netflix, or at least a good majority of people definitely feels like they have Netflix. So for WWE, for pro wrestling to be joining Netflix, it just opens up so much more of a possibility for eyeballs, new people, returning fans that maybe were fans back in the Attitude Era. Who knows? Maybe they'll come back. We'll see. But it's definitely a huge move. And given that it's going to be a weekly live programming, that's huge within itself also for Netflix.
Is this Netflix first gander into live sports? Because there's a lot of other, Prime is doing it, and there's a lot of other Hulu's doing it. And so I don't know if Netflix wanted to compete with all these other sports, but to have the only streaming service with WWE, is this their way of getting into live sports?
You bring up a great point because that's the thing, Netflix has always been ahead of its time, but now you're looking at Amazon Prime and all these other people that are, starting to get into the streaming and streaming sports and whatnot. And so this is the first for Netflix. Prior to this, they had streamed a comedy special for Chris Rock, and that was live. And then they had also done I believe it was a Love is Blind reunion show. And that was the first one that they did. And that one was a disaster, right? So I think for the most part, there are some fans that are like, oh, we heard about what happened there, but hopefully by the time, and given they have a whole year until this kicks off in January 2025, they have a whole year, right, to get their ducks in a row. So I'm feeling pretty positive. I mean, it's Netflix. I highly doubt that, Netflix is going to drop the ball. At least I hope they don't drop the ball when it comes to, this massive opportunity. So it's going to be really cool. So I'm very hopeful.
Denise, obviously down here in Miami, we all love The Rock, Hurricane, locker room named after him, all that type of stuff. What's his deal right now? So he's part owner of the WWE now. I'm very confused by all the things going on with The Rock. He's on the board of. He's on the board of directors. What is his role now? Explain this for me.
Right. So he's on the board of directors now. He's joined alongside. I think there's a total of 13 board of directors. So obviously he's going to have some input in a lot of the business, financial, the business side of things. Because here's the thing, The Rock, as you know, he is not only influential when it comes just to like mainstream pop culture, but he's influential within the wrestling space because of the history and everything that he's done there. And then on top of that, you have this guy who is worldwide known, but also has had all of his own businesses. He's doing stuff with the X. He's with the XFL, doing all of that. Then on top of that, you had his tequila brand, and there's so many other things that he's done that I don't even know all of them that he's been doing. But now you have somebody like him who can sort of be this help be this person that's going to, influence some of these decisions and whatnot. But the big thing that's coming out on top of that is that The Rock now owns his name. So Dwayne The Rock Johnson, The Rock is his man, which is really cool. I think that was something that I think is important for him to do. And I mean, either way, everyone already knew him as The Rock, but still now the fact that he has that under his own control, like that's pretty awesome. And the other thing that's sort of, buzzing the news surrounding The Rock is whether or not he's going to have this match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. And one of the things that he had mentioned in an interview that he was doing yesterday, I believe it was with First Take, he had mentioned that he wanted it to be in front of like the biggest eyeballs, the most eyeballs. Like if you're going to be doing Roman Reigns versus The Rock, it's going to be in front of the most eyeballs possible.
So, like, what do you think the likelihood is that he is going to step into because the WrestleMania is not far away, right? Like, it's usually like in April. So, what do you think is the likelihood that we actually get that news that he's going to do it?
Oh my God. So last year there had been like reports leading up to a year, suspicions that he was going to be wrestling at WrestleMania 39. Obviously it didn't happen. We got Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. And then on top of that, a couple months after, he was on the Pat McAfee show and he had mentioned that he was actually supposed to wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39, and everybody's like, what? This match was supposed to happen and it didn't happen. And I guess like his explanation was they sort of couldn't figure out like what direction they wanted to go in creatively and all of that, right? Because they want to help the business, right? Instead of take away from it. So whatever it is, they decided to hold off on it. And clearly now I'm like, okay, he mentioned it on the Pat McAfee. He's been mentioning it on all these other shows. Mm-hmm. He appeared on WWE Day One and mentioned coming for the head of the table. I feel at this point, there's been so many mentions of it. How do you not do it?
Before we get you out of here, Denise, Royal Rumble coming up this weekend. What is, I guess, the big thing you're looking for, I guess, with this event coming up this weekend?
Well, the biggest thing is who's going to win the Royal Rumble. Obviously, you have the Women's Royal Rumble, but you also have the Men's Royal Rumble. And within the Men's Royal Rumble, I would say that people are wondering, is Cody Rhodes going to be winning again back to back? Is he going to go to WrestleMania and face Roman Reigns? Who knows? On top of that, you had the return of CM Punk into WWE, and he's also in the Rumble, and he's also trying to get his spot. And we had this really great confrontation between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes on Raw this past Monday, and that got things really, really heated. So I'm more so looking to see who is going to win this Men's Royal Rumble.
Denise, we always appreciate the time. Thanks so much. Enjoy this weekend in St. Pete.
Thank you so much, guys. See ya.
There you go. Go check her out. Denise Salcedo always does a fantastic job with her wrestling coverage.
Hey, there's one trait that's synonymous with everybody who talks about wrestling: energy.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Everybody has energy. It is amazing, the energy. And I was like taken back because she came in rolling.
Oh, right? Yeah. Coming in hot,
but
dude.
They're all like that.
Let's get to this. Speaking of a wrestling type of storyline, Doc, you're back, huh? Like you're coming back to the Bucks. Like this is amazing.
Hey, I'm so excited to be, and I don't know why the hell I lost my voice already. I didn't even yell at nobody, but I'm so excited to be coaching a championship caliber team, a team that's number 2 in the conference, and all they need is some help guiding them towards the defensive struggles they've been having. Right? So, yeah, it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. I thought after some substantial time off, being in front of the camera, that I would get my damn voice back. But I screamed last night about getting this great opportunity, and now I'm back to square one. So I don't know how much I'm gonna talk to y'all. I don't know how much I'm gonna talk to you guys during the season because I got some work to do.
Yeah,
but we gonna get this done.
Understood. Are you excited to coach the tandem of Damian Lillard and Giannis?
Hey, I'm excited to put somebody that every time they get a boo-boo don't need to be wheeled out on a damn stretcher.
Apparently this guy was giving Adrian Griffin advice too. Like, that's crazy. Doc Rivers was like, was he sabotaging the entire time, getting intel before this guy got the hevo?
Totally
Here's
sabotaging.
here's the problem. And it was pointed out. I was watching some TV yesterday. And even with Wes, you know, that was the second time I heard that. The reasons why they were struggling defensively had nothing to do with defensive scheme. It had to do with effort. And effort of any sports team, when you see lack of effort, who do you immediately go to? The coach.
Yeah.
Right? Defense is effort. When you watch these Heat teams, they might not be able to score a bucket, but damn it, on defense, they giving effort. They getting back. They running, right? So that even guys who you don't know to be defensive stalwarts are putting forth the effort to play defense. When you don't have that, and like he said, you got Brook Lopez and Giannis on the floor, and you don't have that effort when all they got to do is just be tall, that's going to come and get you. And so from that standpoint, I think we get so consumed with how many points guys are scoring and the three-point shooting, right? But if you look at a lot of these coaches and why they wear teams down, it's because of the demands they make defensively. But right? All these guys that get these star players, they wear their teams down defensively because that's what's going to win you a championship.
The thing, though, is like Doc Rivers won a championship a long time ago. I get it. He's kind of known as like the ego manager. But, I mean, this is the best guy you can go and get is Doc Rivers. Like, that's going to give you the schematic just because. Why? Because he's Doc Rivers? Like,
you know why Doc Rivers will always get a job? Here's why Doc Rivers. Here's why there's certain people in sports that will always be able to get a job. Because the second you walk in the locker room, you garner respect. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, soon as he walks into the locker room, he got the ears of everybody on that team.
No, dude. It sounds like to me he was being Littlefinger. You're being you're consulting for. Yeah, he's like
he can say, honey, don't make no plans for the first of the year. Because I'm going to be the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, how do you know, babe? I'm working on it.
Glad we were supposed to go on a cruise.
Yeah, we going to cruise through the Great Lakes to Milwaukee. So, yeah, I think Doc is very respected. And so from that standpoint, when he comes in and he talks to Dame and he talks to Giannis and he talks to Brook Lopez and he talks to who's the other one with the Chris Middleton.
I was about to say, are you referring to Chris Middleton?
Yeah. When he goes,
you don't have to do that with his mouth though. Like you could say, who's the the longtime teammate of Giannis? I would have known it was Chris Middleton. You didn't have to do the thing.
But you knew even more so.
No, I mean, I knew who you were talking about. I
was trying to get through the conversation quickly. How's that? So when you go in there and it's Doc Rivers, right, a former player, champion, and he starts talking, you're gonna have the ear of those four guys. If you get those four guys to buy in, everybody else gonna follow suit, and that's kind of why you bring Doc Rivers in. Doc Rivers might not be the best coach, right? Schematically, he might not be the best guy. But with players that great, all you need to do to get them to do is play with effort. Play with energy. And he can do that.
I mean, sometimes, but also James Harden didn't by the end of last year.
James Harden is an anomaly. Like he's
That's
like
a superpower unlike any other.
That's superpower. Ain't no coach gonna get James Harden to move fast.
Doc, who is tougher to motivate, Ben Simmons or James Harden?
Hell, I could deal with James Harden. He played. You can't motivate a chair.
I saw Ben Simmons is going to the G League. I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to show up for that. He's going to show up for that. Yeah, he's got a rehab because his back doesn't work. So he's going to go do some. I don't know.
5 years, right? For his back. He's been complaining about his back for 5 years.
When the hell is Ben? Let's see. Ben Simmons, his last full season of basketball.
Never. Took the first year off.
He last really played basketball. Yeah, 3 years ago. He's played 6 games this year. Played 42 last year. I don't even remember that. He held out the year before that, and the year before that he played 58 games when of course he melted down in the playoffs.
Is that pretty amazing? That guy gets extensions and he don't play basketball.
Crazy.
I mean, that's like
his extension's got to be up soon, though, right? I got to figure.
Yeah, but is that one of those guys you look at it as an organization and say you can walk?
I don't know, man.
Because everybody was so scared of him walking and them not getting nothing for him.
Yeah,
that they give him these extensions, and now you yeah.
Well, dude, it's crazy. Like you go and you see, Ben Simmons. I remember seeing him in preseason this year. I was like, man, how is that guy not amazing? Like he is a physical specimen, but. Like then you see him play the game because I watched him play a preseason game this year with the Heat, and he like threw the ball into the stand. I'm like, what is this guy doing?
He literally is the first Giannis. Like when we talk about anomaly, ball handler, guy that can do it all, guy that can get to the rim. That's what, because Giannis shoots the three, he really shouldn't, right? But that's what we thought Ben Simmons was going to be. Same size.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. All right, we'll take a quick break. Get back into more Miami Heat. We'll hear a little bit from the Heat teammates. Kevin Love reactions to getting Scary Terry, and Bam kind of sounds upset that Kyle Lowry's gone. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody.
Tobes, you missed out yesterday.
I know, on the peach ones.
Woo! Margot's very peachy.
So good. Really, it's raspberry peach, but it should be peach raspberry. Definitely heavy on the peach. Delicious though. Really good.
Look, it's you're always gonna have a dominant flavor in the batch of flavors. It's gonna happen. Peach is an overwhelmer. It can be strong.
Well, but the other one, the peach vibe is not as peachy as this.
Yeah, this is peachy. The other one's more vibe than peach.
Is there a peach vibe?
Yeah,
everything's a peach vibe.
Interesting.
Not anymore.
Let's get to some cat. Let's get to some cat talk here, brought to us by our friends over at Celsius. Hockey fans, don't sit this one out. When it's game time, make Celsius a part of your play and get that energy up. Game day is fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks, the official energy drink of
your Florida Panthers.
All right, some news on the Panthers, according to George Richards, longtime Panthers reporter for FloridaHockeyNow.com. Sergei Bobrovsky, first off the ice, sounds like Bob is back starting tonight after a great game by Stolarz, the last one.
Ooh, what a dude was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a great.
He had a glove save on a breakaway. I'm like, I mean, he gloved it like no big deal.
Sasha Barkov, who's been dealing, he apparently, according to Paul Maurice, is going to play tonight unless something happens in warmups. So everybody stay away from Barkey.
Warmups, man.
Panthers.
That's what you gonna determine?
Panthers, Coyotes.
They do that different in
tonight.
football, right? Football, they go out early and say questionable. Going to see if he can go in warmups.
Yeah, the Heat will do warming up with the intention to play.
Right. Like, but hockey, it's just like.
I'm like, what? I actually heard one time somebody come over to one of the Heat who was questionable. He goes, how are we feeling? He goes, I'm warming up with the intention to play. It was funny. Everybody knows the lingo, the vernacular that's going on. All right, let's get to some headlines brought to you by the new Palmetto Ford Truck Super Center. Why buy your truck at a car store? Palmetto Ford.
We know trucks.
You got those cuts, Terry Rozier?
You've been saving that one, haven't you, huh?
Hey, for the new trade.
Ever since the trade, huh? Yes, indeed. Who would you like to hear from first, sir?
Let's hear from Bam. Bam seemed a little down yesterday because apparently him and Low Dog were tight, and he's sad to see one of his favorite teammates go. Here was Bam on Lowry being traded to the Hornets.
That happens to be the only one that didn't go through.
All right, Terry Crozier. Then why did you ask me anyone if you only had Kevin Love?
He's not going to pick that one.
Let me hear from Kevin Love on Terry Rozier. He thinks he's going to bring a lot of points to this team.
Oh, did you? No, I'm kidding.
No, he's somebody that can put points up in a hurry, somebody who obviously attacks the game. Playing 8.5 years in Cleveland, when he got into the league and we played against him, whether it be in Boston or in Charlotte, anytime we played against him, he seemed to, obviously that being where he's from, used to, light us up. So we got a, heavy dose of his game. And, some games it was high assist output. Sometimes it was, defensive output, but, certainly can put points up in a hurry, get his teammates involved and plays the right way. So he does a lot of good things.
I can't imagine how good it's got to feel for Terry Rozier to go back to playing meaningful basketball again.
Well,
like he's just.
Or when you having a lot of success and everybody call you a looter in the riot because your team sucks.
Yep. I'm not my fault. The Hornets suck. Gordon Hayward never plays. I gave him $1 gazillion.
Where is he still in Charlotte?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Does he play?
No,
of course not. They were kicking around Gordon Hayward's name around the Heat. I'm like, no, he's not going to be healthy. And also turn down the Godfather once.
Isn't it amazing that Michael Jordan signed all them intangibles?
It is amazing.
I mean, he drafted dude from Wisconsin.
He drafted
Right?
Cody Zeller.
Cody Zeller gave Gordon a boatload of money.
Yep.
Wow.
Something about it. Interesting.
What do we call that?
I don't know.
It's not.
What do we call that?
Not racist.
Meanwhile,
equal opportunity.
Meanwhile, Kevin Love, he says it's tough to lose Kyle Lowry, but listen, sometimes a trade is needed to spark a team.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, listen, new blood is good.
Pause it for a second, Marcos.
Hurts losing Kyle.
He's got like a Marcos in his throat or something, dude. Like he's got somebody give like somebody's got to give Kevin Love like a lozenge.
Lozenge.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, listen, new blood is good. Certainly for me, it hurts losing Kyle, who has been, somebody I've competed against, but a friend of mine who I've become very close to off the floor. Obviously, even more so
love becoming friends.
Close to him, but a lot of battles over the years. So losing him definitely hurts. But yeah, there are cases where it can be a big lift for a team, and sometimes that's off the floor and emotionally on the floor as well. So I think that Terry has if it does go through, and when it does go through, it would I think certainly give us a lift in that way, because sometimes that hitting that refresh button and get some new blood in here can be good.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
I see, like, in football games and basketball games, after the game, everybody dab each other up.
Mm-hmm.
I never did that, not once.
You never gave love to another.
Game after the game, I'm out.
Interesting.
And it wasn't like a I'm mad at you. No, you just beat me. I just beat. It really, like, I don't know why. I just thought about it, and I'm like, man, I never, like, usually, like, the two quarterbacks have to do it. Like, it's just a kind of a thing. The coaches do it, but by then I'm out of my shoes and cut my tape off. Like, and it wasn't, I don't know why. I just never did. I think one time I did when my boy was on the other team. Metcalf.
Was it like a Michigan guy?
We had a lot of Michigan guys. Like, the crazy thing about it was all the Michigan guys either ended up in New York or in Cleveland. So, and I played with a lot of Ohio State guys when I got to Minnesota.
Kevin Love also said this trade necessary because you need offensive punch in today's NBA.
It's huge. It's huge. But on top of that, I know that Terry is a competitor. Somebody's got to go out there every single game and fight. So it is, increasingly important and paramount to have a weapon and a scoring threat out there on the floor at really every position, but somebody who can put points up in a hurry. And with teams and offenses scoring so many points and offensive ratings continuing to go up, usage continuing to go up, and we had two guys score over 60, a guy scored 70 last night. It just goes to show you how important that is in this league now.
I'm with him. They needed a spark. Needs a punch. Also, getting Jaime back would be huge. He's doubtful for tonight. As Leroy said, probably stupid to play him on a back-to-back. So hopefully maybe Boston, please. I miss you, Jaime. I miss you, Jaime.
Well, I'm just saying, you like a returning player, they never start him off on the first night of a back-to-back. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I miss that hair. I miss his footwork. I miss Jaime, dude.
Footwork.
You can't say that Jaime hasn't been like the best part of the season so far. I mean, it's just like seeing a young guy blossom like that. I remember when Tyler did it. When Tyler did it, it was amazing. When
isn't he 3 years older than Jovic?
Tyler?
No, I guess.
He's 2. He's
2
22.
years older.
Yeah,
2 years older, and Jovic has more experience.
Well, I don't know who has
saying.
actual total more minutes.
No.
I'm not really sure.
I'm just saying he's still in his second year.
I love. Listen, Spo loves. I think Spo sees the vision with Jovic now. You had to beat it into him, but he's finally, I think, giving it its chance. Let you know.
Think Jimmy had something to do with that?
I know you didn't like. I know you didn't like Wes bringing up putting Haywood back in the starting lineup. You're like, no, my Jovic got to start.
Boy.
Well, but the thing about Hayward is he's going to give you a lot more defensively, and he's proven that he can make that three. So,
Yeah, I get it, but I don't agree with the fact that I think Jovic needs his touches. I think Jovic knows get a rebound and go and find the open guy. I don't think Jovic is going into these games like I need to get 10 shots. He looks like he's always looking like he's get the rebound, go, pass the ball.
Right.
Which is exactly what you want him for.
And that's what Spo wants. Spo wants these guys to run. He don't want the ball walking off the floor while you fixing your shirt and all that stuff.
Right. He doesn't want and this the whole chuck the ball down court from Kyle Lowry. I think they're like, oh, good, somebody will actually get the ball and go down the court. So that'll be interesting. Here was Bam. Bam didn't want to apparently talk too much about the Rozier trade until it was official. That was the word. So, but he did want to give an explanation how much he loves Kyle Lowry and he's going to miss him.
Kyle has been one of my favorite teammates, if not the favorite teammate since he's been here. He's always taught me ways to get the ball. He always talks about how to get me easy catches. And he's been positive towards me. He's been, I hang out with him in the summer. So he's like a brother to me. And, he'll continue to be my brother.
Do you think Bam will try and complain to the refs as much just to kind of like remember what it was like having Kyle?
Who's gonna be the complainer?
I don't know. They don't really have a lot. I think it's just Spo.
Jimmy doesn't do it. Jimmy doesn't do it. Tyler doesn't do it.
Spo's just gonna be like, no.
My favorite one was when, what was it, like 2 minutes into a game, and he just flagged his team down and said, "No, timeout." It's like, hey, we just started.
I like what like a new one I see all the time is the discontinued dribble. He's like, man, like this to the ref all the time. Yeah. Spo, he could be a mime. He's just like he does. He's got the visuals, dude.
But can you get fined for only using visuals?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Man, take a quick break. We'll be back with more after this.
15 Minutes of Heat is sponsored by Kendall Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Start the new year in a new ride with no payments for 90 days. Kendall Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.com.
Welcome back, everybody. 15 minutes of Heat here for you on 560 WQAM.
Now you gotta go 15 minutes of heat for your ass.
For your ass right here on 560 WQAM.
You think there'll be some additional pop in the building tonight?
I think people will be excited for sure. I think they'll definitely be excited. I think people will be buzzing to see what Terry Rozier brings to the table tonight. Assuming that he does.
Here's the crazy thing. Everybody else is trying to get bigger, and the Heat actually got smaller.
Yeah. They didn't get smaller. They stayed the same.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like Lowry was starting anyway. Like it's the same size.
Okay. All right.
I get what you're saying. Well, to be fair though, they're not going right now with Jovic in there. They got a couple of guys, 6'10". They're not going with a 6'4" guy next to Bam at power forward.
Right.
For once. And I'll tell you one thing, but like when they do get Jaquez back, Jaquez does not. He plays bigger than his size.
He plays bigger than he really does because he's up in there.
Yeah,
he's getting into some of these battles or whatever, and it's pretty amazing because Dunks tries to too, but he just does the 2 for 2.
Yeah, well,
and you don't know.
To be fair for my guy, I do feel like he gets disrespected by the officials.
Oh my God, yes, because he doesn't have a good. He doesn't argue well. His look when he gets called for a foul means nobody's like, dude, nobody cares.
Duncan Robinson, when he argues with the refs, it's like when you try and argue with a toddler in a car. Right. Can't take it. Not everybody keen on the Terry Rozier trade, by the way, Leroy. You familiar with Shaquille O'Neal, aka Shaq,
aka a giant.
That
is a big dude.
Shaq on TNT yesterday reacting to the deal. A little skeptical of Terry Rozier working out of Miami.
Does he blend into Heat culture?
I mean, I think he needs to understand the culture. I don't really know him personally, but it looks to me to be like a player that does what he wants to do when he wants to do it. And I don't think Heat culture allows that. They have a system. They have hierarchy. So, is he going to be willing to just be the point guard that they're looking for, like taking all those ill-advised shots? If they're not going in, Spoelstra's not going to be happy with that.
He has had a very efficient season, so I do want to stand up for my guy. But
I wish him well, but he needs to understand that the Heat culture is similar to Popovich's culture. You do it their way, or you're going to be traded again. Trust me, I know.
I was just wait. In fairness to Shaq, I was just getting ready to say,
woo!
Wow, didn't Shaq do his own thing?
Listen, he knows. He does know. Comes with the it's good awareness by Shaq going into this one. Look, you know what? I love it because one thing that goes with Heat culture is doubt, and so Shaq's just throwing that into the ether. A little bit of motivation to keep Terry Rozier ready to roll once he comes into the Heat's house. I see Shaq's out here playing 4D chess. I know what he's doing. Marcos. You think Damian Lillard's just like jealous of Terry Rozier? Because think about Damian Lillard. First of all, it's getting very cold in Milwaukee. I don't know if you guys have seen Milwaukee. I haven't either. I just imagine that being miserable right now. But like he's seeing Terry Rozier because Damian Lillard. He's all over the social media, right?
Uh-huh.
He's got to look at Terry Rozier landing in Miami yesterday off that PJ. He's like, damn. That
had to take his coat off.
He's like, sitting there, fire in Milwaukee. Giannis is being a diva. He's having everybody fired.
36 degrees in Milwaukee right now and cloudy, dude.
That's warm this time of year.
Hey.
Yeah, but it's muggy.
It's warm this time of year, but it ain't warm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Let me back you up for a second there, son.
What?
There is no such thing as a balmy 36.
Oh, it's so balmy, dude.
What is the temperature tonight, Marcos?
Tonight it's gonna drop down to a low of 32, really no change. Really no change. But it's muggy, dude. 45% chance of precipitation.
By the way, it was broken last.
What is JFig? JFig, you cannot comment on weather. You have already deemed yourself out of the conversation when you're talking about being half naked makes you warmer.
As if we didn't know JFig was goth enough. Now all of a sudden a South Floridian is trying to tell us how much she loves the 30s.
Right. That's a nice temp.
She's like, oh, that's nice. I like that. Yeah, it's you want to know why people go goth, JFig? They're cold. It's just dreary out. It's I want to feel something. I want to feel anything. And all I feel now is cold in my heart. By the way, Doc Rivers, according to Woj, has agreed to become the Bucks coach. It was broken yesterday by CNN. I don't know why. What? CNN broke it, dude. It was weird. They broke the news that he agreed already, but now Woj puts his stamp of approval on it. Doc Rivers officially agrees to become head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Honey, where's my coat?
Doc Rivers going back to Milwaukee because he played at Marquette.
Yep. His jersey's retired.
Him, Jimmy,
D
Wade, Jamal Cain, best players in Marquette history. I mean, I know Jamal Cain left and then went to Oakland, but still, I mean, he was there. Love Jamal
Doc
Cain.
Rivers, the Sean Payton of the NBA world.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Living off one championship. Come on, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not threatened by it. I'm just like,
but here's what I would say.
What has he done for me lately?
Sean Payton had a run with Drew Brees that Doc Rivers has not had with a player. And you could pretty much, always being in the hunt while not winning the championship, right? You can argue that, but the person always had a lot of success, won a lot of games. That's what Sean Payton was with Drew Brees. Doc Rivers wasn't that. He had a stretch of what, 3-4 years?
In Boston?
In Boston, yeah.
I don't remember when he left Boston. I feel like it was right after Ray. So I think 2014 he went to the Clippers and he was on the Clippers for like a good 6 years, and then he ended up in Philly.
A lot of good players, not a lot of.
He's had a lot of good players, not a lot of champions.
Like we talking about his number one guys are all be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's had. I mean, the big three in Boston. He's had the Clippers, Lob City Clippers, and Joel Embiid with whatever ragtag group they put him with, whether it be Ben Simmons before he short circuited, or whether it be with what's his face, James Harden.
Yeah.
So now he's got Giannis and Dame, and Dame
I want
seems
to tell you guys something. You don't think it's hard coaching James Harden? You try.
That's fair, Doc. How do you feel like, Doc? Do you feel like you can make Damian Lillard a little happier? He doesn't seem too happy in Milwaukee.
Let me tell you something, Tobes. Winning makes people happy.
Apparently not, because 30-13 got the coach fired.
Wow. 30-13. So basically, he's only failed 13 times midway through the season.
Do you know how much they must have hated that guy to be like, you know what? We're not going to rock. Because it's like, it's such a look of Giannis is like, Giannis
it just
is
seemed
running
like
the show.
somebody went to the front office and said, we can't do it.
Can't do it.
Now, this is much quicker, but after I asked you that question earlier of examples of coaches this happened to, I got to see a couple of them. We already talked about David Blatch or whatever this guy's
David
name.
Blatt.
Yeah,
That was an all-timer. All-timer.
Horrible. But Avery Johnson, although they did give him a season after the Heat came back in that finals, the following year he won 62 games, and then after that, Mark Cuban was like, "Nah, I've had enough, dude."
Did Avery Johnson go to your high school?
Yeah.
Oh,
he was there when I was there.
Was he like what's your but he's what was he, senior when you were a freshman or something?
Sophomore.
Never wanted to double Shaq, or never wanted to stop doubling Shaq.
Here's the other thing. If you were to ask any of us in high school of that basketball team, he was on a basketball team that went undefeated.
Wow.
And if you were to say who was going to end up being an NBA player, I mean, because back then he was 5'8", and he didn't grow much more. So it was crazy that he was the guy who had the most successful NBA career on that team.
Pretty wild. Any other ones you found, Marcos?
Yeah, remember Dwayne Casey a couple years ago? He won Coach of the Year with the Raptors, and then
Yeah,
they
did him dirty. Made Nick Nurse the coach.
That was I
They
mean, it
won
worked
a
out. for them.
championship. You can't tell them they did him dirty.
No, he didn't win the championship. Nick Nurse won the championship.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I got you.
If you replace a coach and you win a championship, you can justify replacing the coach.
So you're saying David Blatt was not done dirty because because Ty Lue won the championship. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he had his shot.
And Pat Riley didn't do Stan Van Gundy dirty because he won the championship.
But didn't Stan Van Gundy step down more or less?
That's what they say.
I know. That's what
That is what they say. That is what they say. That is what they say. I'm just saying.
Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr.
Oh,
He took
boy.
him from like 30.
Yeah, but he didn't. He had the same players and he didn't win.
Yeah. True.
But he said like this is going to be the best shooting backcourt of all time. He was right about that.
And everybody laughed at him.
Then he told everybody, tell your body, not now. I did see Barry Jackson report, by the way. They're not bringing back Van Gundy and Mark Jackson in spite of Doc, because Doc Rivers was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be ESPN's top basketball analyst.
Really?
And they're not
He
bringing
can
back.
barely talk. He's been 5 games.
He's been doing games. Yeah, he's been doing. It was going to see him, I think, Mike Breen and Doris Burke. And they're not. I'm sure that you know who they're going to go with. That JJ Redick. I mean, he gets all the jobs. Enough of this JJ Redick. He's all over the place.
Could you imagine Mike Breen going, "Hey, buddy, you need a throat lozenge or something?" I'll be doing just quite fine. Thank you, Mike.
Maybe the agreement is though, if like he doesn't go far, maybe he goes back to ESPN.
I'll take that though. What I don't want.
If you're a coach, you want to have this job as long as possible.
No, but I'm saying like maybe there's a wink if like they get bounced in the second round, you still get them for the Eastern Conference Finals in the finals. That's all. I don't know.
As long as I just
I don't want to jobs.
I don't want to turn on my TV and hear, "Oh, Jim, where's Josh Allen?"
Would that be something if he did a basketball game?
Oh my god!
Jim, this sport is crazy.
By the way, did you see that alley-oop
that Zion had yesterday?
Zion had?
Didn't know he still had it in him, to be honest with you.
Hold on. Let's just put it this way. That is a big boy to be getting up like that.
I know. But like
he's just like here.
He used to do that at Duke. Like that's how we all like, oh my god, Zion.
Part of the thing is funny is that he reminds me of Chuck. And people don't, Chuck will never say it. He's a more athletic Chuck. Not a better basketball player. But their size, the way they look, the way they, move around and it's funny that Chuck said he need to lose some weight, he too big. That's funny.
Man, it is funny. Take a quick break. Time to get to our favorite Wednesday game. Rats off a ship. That's next.
Right.
6.
Rats off a ship.
All right, welcome back, you rascals. It's Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Hello, Jennifer. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well.
Are you excited for Terry Rozier's Heat debut?
Yes, although the number that he is wearing kind of hurts.
Why?
Gabe Vincent.
Number 2.
Well, he made his bed. He chose what he wanted.
I know.
Money?
Still hurts. Still stings a little bit. You know?
Money?
Barely any money.
A contract?
Yeah. Oh, well. The
Still hurts, guys.
Enjoy being dangled by LeBron in trade rumors every year, Gabe. Demanding, he'll be, I'm sure, well, let's think about this. He'll probably be in Atlanta in a week in the DeJounte Murray deal. So
I got to tell you.
Yep.
I don't like frogs.
Whoa, okay.
But turtles
What are you eating?
Turtles are delicious.
Oh.
What is he eating?
I thought you said you didn't like sweets.
What?
He loves chocolate, dude.
Chocolate.
Wait, who
I
was
don't
one that
like
doesn't
cake.
like sweets?
I don't like
He
cake.
doesn't like a cake or he doesn't like ice cream. Unless
Or
it's
like
with a
You just
pie.
have really weird food takes.
He really just has
No,
weird
no.
food takes. You
No,
do.
no.
Yeah.
You do. This is
You
not,
really
not
do.
up for debate.
No, this is for sure.
Leroy,
like
before we get to
cheesecake, but
rats,
Is it a cake or a pie?
what? Cheesecake?
What?
Yeah.
It's cake.
Okay.
A
No,
Leroy, can you
cheesecake?
give us a weather update from the Demesman and Dover Law Firm? Your
Yes, I
accentattorneys.com. Free consultations 24/7. Call them at 866-954-MORE.
I was just looking. I threw up some grass outside.
Oh.
Charted my the distance of the grass flying versus the weight of the grass to determine that the winds are blowing 15, 20 miles an hour, gusting a little bit higher. They're coming out of the southeast, as you can tell, because it's rather warm. It's got to be over 80 degrees, which, to be honest with you, a few days ago, my boys were home, way home, tucked and out of place. Other than that, it is partly to mostly cloudy. So expect maybe a stray shower because it just looks like it. I don't know what the forecast is. It just looks like you can get a passing shower this evening. And it's going to be warmer for the next couple of days until that wind turns and comes out of the north.
How'd you do, Frog Boy?
He did excellent as usual. Mainly cloudy, 82 degrees, just like he said. Winds coming out of the east, southeast, just like he mentioned, at 17 miles per hour. Could reach as high as 25 miles per hour. It does look cloudy, but rain doesn't seem to be hitting us anytime soon, although Leroy will be having to find his boys come Sunday morning, as it will hit a low of 57.
Woo! All right.
Well, listen. I played golf on Sunday, and it was 50 with a 15-mile-an-hour wind. It was freezing. I had to do the face thing. Only thing you could see was my eyes.
RVA Richie wants to know if Tobin made the newsletter. I don't know. It's the end of the month, RVA Richie. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out if I make the newsletter this time around.
Fingers crossed.
Hard
dude.
to say. I mean, it's a big honor. I don't think I'm probably not though.
I mean,
Speaking
I was
of
viral.
JFig, what do we got today for Rats Off a Ship?
You.
Yeah. All right, guys. Duncan Robinson beating Kevin Durant in a shootout. UD says on his podcast that he would take Duncan.
If UD's taking Duncan, I'm taking Duncan. Not Rats Off a Ship. Duncan Robinson could beat Kevin Durant in a shootout. The greatest shooter I've ever seen in person. I've never seen Kevin Durant shoot like that all the time. But I will say, the last time he did go to a 3-point shootout, he did not do fantastic.
I
Neither
know.
did Tyler Hero. This used to be the Heat's event, the 3-point shootout.
Yeah, but it was never with a starter. No, a starter never won.
Oh, James Jones was starting when he won.
Okay. All right, I give you that.
But either way, I still would take Duncan Robinson because I'm of course gonna roll with Duncan Robinson. What about you, Leroy?
I'm gonna go with. There's a big difference between shooter and scorer. Duncan Robinson is a shooter. Kevin Durant is a scorer. So I'm not going to just dismiss it. I'm not rats off a ship.
Okay. JFig?
Not rats off a ship.
Marcos?
Not rats off a ship.
You doing it too.
I
now,
thought
right?
he was trying to do the
You
Tobin.
doing it too, right?
Yes.
You doing it too.
Don't let them bully you, Marcos. It happens. Sometimes you got to call.
Yeah, don't bully me, guys.
Get a couple of bullies.
Really?
I've been teaming up all week.
You calling JFig a bully?
Yep. Look at
Thank
it.
you, Leroy. Although you all called me a bully yesterday,
She
I
is a
will
bully.
forget.
Remember when she cropped that person out? She
Next one. Are you guys ready for the next one?
Yep, a bully.
Okay.
And you know who else she cropped out?
This one all JFig's pictures look like this.
Yep. And you want to know how she cropped out? Me out of the newsletter.
Oh,
No. Hey, can I just say this? Tobin, it's hard to crop something out that was never in.
That's why they call it the cropper.
The cropper.
You know what? That's probably the only nickname I'll
Hey,
allow.
you one letter away from having bubble guts.
What's number 2, JFig?
Bam Adebayo making Team USA Olympic.
I'm not rats off a ship. He won a gold medal the last time. I saw that he's one of 4 Heat players.
He was listed as 41.
Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson also in the pool of players. I feel like Bam's most likely to make the team because he's already won a gold medal with Spo. Feel like it'd be kind of rotten to kick him off the Olympic team, especially since he was starting the last time they won the gold medal. Jimmy Butler's not going to go to the Olympics. Waste of his time. He's got things to do. Tyler Hero, don't see it. Duncan Robinson, maybe. Need some shooting. But I'm not rats off a ship on Bam Adebayo.
I'm not rats off a ship either. That's just the pool. Like, there's not, they have a pool of what, 40, 50 guys?
41, yeah.
41 guys. And just because they included him in the pool doesn't mean he's not going to make the team just because the number is so big. He's going to be on that team.
I would think so.
And maybe my wife and daughter will see them before they get there.
In Paris?
That's right.
That's when they're going.
Paris.
They wanted to go in the summer. I'm like, you can't go in the summer.
Here, well,
They have this
Joe,
thing called the Olympics.
if you have the bigs, I mean, like, there's the thing where people would be questioning Bam because they got Joel Embiid. He entered his first time he's going to try and play in the Olympics. Anthony Davis, Chet. But I mean, shouldn't we have some damn courage and keep the people who won us a gold medal?
Yeah.
What do we care about Joel Embiid's feelings? What has he ever won? Bam won the gold medal.
And he gets to choose who he wants to play for.
Right. It took him all, he took it all this time.
Yeah.
Although I think Bam could have played for Nigeria if he wanted to. But he didn't. He won it because he's Captain Bam America. And he won us a gold medal.
Ooh.
What?
Bam America.
Captain
What?
Bam America.
That was
I kind of like it.
Why are you taking a minus one for it?
Kind of like it.
Point for Tobin.
Remember when Greg Popovich cut Bam Adebayo for Miles Turner?
Dopes. You don't understand.
Yeah.
You have to taper it. You can't let him have free willy comments like this because he'll keep going.
Yeah, but I never do. But I liked this one.
They never do.
No, I do all the time. I'm an enabler.
Now
Bam
you're an
America.
enabler.
I'm glad
Oh,
you
I got two
recognized it,
enablers.
Marcos.
JFig, where are your rats?
They are on the ship.
All right. Very good. Marcos?
Bam will make the team rats on a ship comfortably. We're
All
cleaning.
right.
Oh,
Wow, look at those rats.
Wait a minute. Go back.
Oh.
The rats are bigger than the people.
They're hanging on.
There are no people, Leroy. Keep looking.
There are people on that
somewhere
boat.
There are people on that
No,
boat.
you
He's
don't
right.
Somewhere else, Leroy.
apologize.
Keep looking somewhere else, Leroy.
There's people on that boat.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, they're on the ship.
Not for long because the cropper's going to take him out.
Oh, yes, she is.
What's number 3, Cropper?
Cats. Bills fans donated $50K to Tyler Bass to his cat rescue charity after missing field goal.
Kicker's a cat guy, huh?
Shocker, anyone?
I mean, I'm not rats off a ship on cats. I do have Senor Gato.
Did
but he's-
they send him a? They say here you can take care of your fat cat. That's what Tobin would have did.
I would just donate him if I was donating to Tyler Bass's charity. I would donate the score $27.24.
Wow,
That's petty.
It is petty, but you can't get mad at me because I help the cats.
You
Donated in charity.
Help the cats.
Hey, at least you don't have the late night TV. See that was a Sarah McLachlan song?
The arms.
Stop! That makes me so sad.
And then you see the little three-legged dog hop across the screen. Like, he's like
That is heartbreaking. Okay.
it is heartbreaking.
For $10.
But here, animals have
Stop.
learned how to survive without humans long before humans got here.
I see one in the street
We
and I want to cry.
we ruined their lives.
If you did
I
tell
don't know,
me,
dude.
if you were referring to the cats like cat fever, I'll never be rats off a ship on those cats.
Oh,
No,
Never.
Whose turn is it?
we already.
No,
It's
no one's rats off a ship
Leroy.
on cats.
Yeah.
No one is rats off a ship. No,
No.
I'm
No,
happy
because
that they donated.
Scooby.
money to the
Even though
cats.
Tobin's had PETA after him for 9 million other causes, this one's not going to be one of them.
Catch me if you can. Schmeeth and Schmalling says Scooby looks like one of those Sarah McLachlan dogs.
minus 300. Okay, that's messed up.
-1 for sass.
I was trying to ignore that comment. Thank you so much for bringing it up.
Arms of the cropper.
Hey, you
I'm gonna crop you out of conversation.
can feed this dog for only 12 cents a day.
For only
Oh,
12 cents a day, you too can get your dog a Christmas sweater.
It's like,
Oh man, JFig, where are you?
hey,
with
do
cats?
you know when Scooby's birthday is?
It's like December something. I don't know.
Like, why do we do that? I barely can remember people birthdays.
You don't
Now
know?
we got to remember animals. No, no.
Frog Boy, where are you on cats?
my cats and my rats remain on the ship. Good cause. Good job.
All right. Final one, JFig.
Margot Robbie getting snubbed, fleeced
Oh,
by the Oscars.
Rats off a ship. I hate the Oscars anyway. I don't like award shows.
She's been in almost every movie for the last 2 years, right?
She's a great actress. I don't understand why in this movie wasn't this the biggest movie of the year, Barbie movie? And like
Yeah.
Gosling
And
gets
she helped,
nominated.
I think, directing, right?
I don't know. But
She was a part of the whole crew. Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
The whole purpose of the movie was literally this.
Yep.
And of course, Ryan Gosling gets nominated and not the girls.
And he was
Isn't
a
that
bum in it.
crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
A Barbie movie with number females and the only guy in it gets nominated.
Ridiculous.
I'm
Seems
just
like
I'm
You know what?
thankful that he spoke
You know
out
why?
about it.
He's got a six pack.
handsome.
It's
He just
Photoshop
can.
done.
He is
Huh?
Knuff.
It's photoshopped.
He's
Really?
enough.
Well, he walked
No.
around.
It's like it's a joke that wasn't one of his movies.
Oh,
That he looks photoshopped because he's so perfect.
Nah.
all right.
Anyway,
I'm super rats off a ship.
I
Oh,
bet
wow.
you. I bet you wouldn't crop him out the picture.
I would not. If he was further from me in the picture, I would make him closer. Okay.
take a
Someone
quick. Well,
JFig's cropper. Tobin's a crop
Hey,
duster.
by the way,
what?
guess who's making a movie?
Oh, J-Lo.
J-Lo and Ben Affleck.
Oh, gotta watch.
Are they? What about?
Who cares?
I
They got
hope
back
he'll get
together.
the
now she's
Oscar and
making
not
a
her,
movie.
huh?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Okay. First
Please,
in
dude,
line.
that thing's gonna come out and be gone before you see it. Stop it.
-1.
Take a quick break. Final hour of the show coming up next. Gotta tell you, Marcos, you really love this Aaliyah song. You play this like every day.
It's literally the second time. It just got in the system this week.
You play this song a lot, dude. That's my fault. You play this song a lot, dude. Welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you. 560 WQM. Let us get to our headlines, brought to you by the new Palmetto Ford Truck Super Center. Why buy your truck at a car store? Palmetto Ford.
We know trucks.
The Miami Heat back in action tonight, taking on the Memphis Grizzlies, and so looking forward to that. We are trying to wait upon whether or not Terry Rozier is going to play or not. No official word yet. No official word yet. So we're waiting on that. But I hope you're right, Leroy. I would like to be boots on the ground to see him play tonight. That would be fun. Meanwhile, we got a big weekend. I don't know if you heard about this. Championship weekend. Decide who goes to a thing we like to call the Super Bowl. Ravens, Chiefs, Lions, Niners.
You know what sucks? No matter who wins, if San Francisco loses,
yep,
or Baltimore loses, right? It's not going to be about how well the other teams did. It's going to be about their quarterback. And that's unfortunate.
Do you think that Brock Purdy is going to get the heat that Lamar does?
Yeah.
Really?
They already called him saying the same stuff about him as they say about Tua.
Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy is like Mr. Irrelevant. Like
it doesn't matter, dude.
It should be house money no matter what. Like whatever they're getting out of Brock Purdy.
One would think, but that hasn't been the attitude.
Well, people Lamar has saying that Jackson is carrying the team, and that Purdy is the team is carrying Purdy.
Yes.
Yeah, but
that's what they're saying.
But he should be like if you're talking about expectations, like he is a Cinderella story. There's no doubt about that.
But at what point does the Cinderella story become okay? You got this spot. We're gonna treat you like that. So at what point could we keep saying throughout Tom Brady's career we can't say nothing about him? Because
no, there's a time. I mean, there is a time, but I think that if you told me like who has more pressure this weekend, I would put the rankings at honestly like Lamar and then Mahomes and then Purdy. Even with Mahomes having the credentials, like he's.
So you're saying Jeff Goff has no pressure?
I think he has the least because nobody cares about Jared Goff.
I mean, Fisher didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I just think he's definitely like I mean, if they lose in embarrassing fashion, yeah, people will be like, come on, it's Jared Goff. Of course that was going to happen.
Yeah, but he might. I look at it like this: is that we can't. Is it possible that a quarterback plays in a different situation, gets into his groove, and he can play the best version of quarterback that he can play because of the environment or the system that he's in?
Sure. I mean, but I think to Jared Goff's credit, I mean, like this is the second team he's been to the conference championship with, right? So
right.
Or yeah.
No,
so
was it him or Stafford didn't do no winning? He won the Super Bowl.
Yep. Sure did. But Lamar, I think because it just feels like it's all there for the Ravens, right? They've already beaten the 49ers badly. They just feel the most untouchable right now because they've been so dominant.
Yeah, I get that, but here's the deal, man. Sports is fickle in that I don't care how good you are. Some team it's like when the Heat play and another team that doesn't shoot the three makes 7 or 8 to start a game. What do you do about that?
You mean something like Rajon Rondo in the finals all of a sudden turning into Steph Curry?
Yes.
Something like that?
Exactly.
Something like that?
What do you do about that?
Or Markieff Morris turning into just Dirk Nowitzki?
What do you
something
do
like
about
that?
Because
or the last time that Anthony Davis actually hit a three was in the 2020 finals.
Hey,
yeah, I think about that stuff sometimes.
You seem to have like
It
almost seemed like
I'm agreeing with you.
I sent you my show sheet and you have responses for all of them.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay.
Just agreeing with you,
But I'm just saying we don't chalk that up to sports, right? somebody's got to be just terrible, or we don't give credit to the other team. I think Lamar Jackson, right now, his career is gravy for this reason. Your own team told you to go work out a trade.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted you. You then can't turn around and say, right, we didn't win because of Lamar Jackson, because you get what you get with Lamar Jackson at this point. He's been a stand-up dude about it. He's been a professional about it. But at the same time, you can't not want to pay him and then complain about his output.
He's easily like one of the most likable guys in the league.
Yes.
Like, I would genuinely be happy if Lamar Jackson won. I don't feel that way. Many people who aren't playing for my team to win. Like, if he won, I'd be so happy for him. If he won,
I would like to see Detroit win.
That'd be cool. I mean, could you imagine what Man Campbell would be like at a parade?
I think he would ride the fist.
Oh, I think he might ride a lion.
I think he would ride the fist. He would, as it goes through downtown, he would jump off his little truck or whatever, his float, and jump on the fist and start surfing.
You picture him getting on Joe Lewis's fist like he's at a bull riding contest?
Yes. Yes. Because I'm telling you right now,
he's going to be the most.
If they have a 2-hour parade and they get to the podium, don't let him talk.
Do you remember the?
There's no chance.
Remember the one Super Bowl the Patriots won where Bill Belichick tried to get everybody to chant "Do your job"?
Oh, what about no days?
Oh, no
off?
days off. No days off.
No
I'm
days
sorry.
off.
No days off. And I was like, wait, what?
That's and again, if you know Bill, that's him. Like, he really thought that was gonna pop.
He really did. He thought, it was like, oh, I nailed this. This is gonna get the beat. And like, normally, if you're that famous, people are gonna be like, oh, I'm definitely gonna love whatever. People are gonna love whatever I say. But Man Campbell feels like he's going to act like Stone Cold Steve Austin if he wins this championship.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not talking about
you. He's gonna be like, let me tell you something, brother. Nobody thought we could do it, and we are here.
And I'm not talking about Stone Cold who won't get in the cold plunge. I'm talking about I'm talking prime. Yeah, not too cold Steve Austin. I'm talking Stone Cold who gives the double birds.
That has to be on the dartboard, right?
The cold plunge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be on it. Man. See, it don't bother me. So,
when's the last time you cold plunged?
A couple of weeks ago. Damn. I go get like 5 bags of ice, put it in my tub.
You still got that torturous rehab guy?
Oh my goodness.
If I have a question.
Hmm.
If I were to land on the cold plunge, attire.
What do you mean attire?
You can wear a shirt and, whatever you got to do underneath.
Oh, yeah, I have a wetsuit. I could wear a wetsuit.
You don't have to go.
Wait. This question was asked for one reason. So she could get that wetsuit thing out. That was it.
I've only worn it once. I want to wear it.
It doesn't matter. You can't wear a wetsuit to a cold plunge.
It don't got sleeves. It's like up to here.
You can wear one of
same thing as wearing a shirt.
Wear whatever bathing thing you need to do with a goth t-shirt over it. But
Okay.
But
we need that ice to hit skin.
Yep.
It will.
No, not in the wetsuit.
Ah!
Yeah, that right there.
Damn.
Damn it.
How long would someone have to be in this cold plunge?
I think they should have that as the main event of WrestleMania.
I think it's 12 minutes, 13 minutes.
12 minutes.
Minutes. The first wait, I'm gonna tell you that this is the honest truth.
Jesus.
The first 3 minutes are gonna be brutal, and then you go numb and you're good.
What's up, everybody? Steve coming to the Broken Skull Ranch. Hey, what's up, everybody? Steve coming to the Broken Skull Ranch. About to do my first cold plunge and renew therapy. My shop says 43 degrees right now, so I'm sure the water is sub 50. I was going to start off at 50. It's going to be a little bit colder than that. And we're going 3 minutes here. Once it gets on to 12 and 5, 4, 3, 2, there we go. Okay. God. Ha ha. Son of a
It got me.
Wait.
revisit this mother.
Do you think he ever revisited that mother bleeper?
No,
No.
no, because
Automatic no.
I'm telling you, the reason why you can't do it for 3 minutes is because the whole 3 minutes is miserable. Once you get past the 3 or 4 minutes, then you're good. And then you can sit there for however long you need to sit there. But that's the whole point, that the cold plunge, your body, you get that numbness, and then you're good. Ha ha ha. Like you sound like the Cookie Monster. Ha.
Oh, we'll take a quick break. 15 minutes of heat next.
What movie is this from?
I don't know, dude.
Captain Marvel.
You know what's weird, dude? I don't relate
That's how I
comic
relate to
book.
all my songs.
I
too.
don't.
A
You
lot
do
of my
that for
songs
all
I
your
relate to music.
Always says the same thing. With
like.
this
I
one.
don't know. You like what is this? I'm like I don't know. I'd
horrible
imagine
movie,
pretty
too.
popular song. I'd imagine they.
Captain Marvel wasn't horrible.
It's a bad movie. Like, why am I even watching that? Captain Marvel.
Was it a bad movie, Margos?
Yeah. I'm. What's the best part that happened, Leroy?
What do you mean? It's
What's the worst part that happened, Marcos?
I'd say when the movie started all the way to when it ended.
Yeah.
That's probably the worst part, in my opinion.
That bad, huh?
No, there was a good part. They went to Blockbuster, I think. That was cool. Love Blockbuster. Pretty much it.
Oh man. Well, Miami Heat, they're taking on tonight the Memphis Grizzlies. They got the Celtics tomorrow, which should definitely be fun with them coming into town. Obviously, everybody's throwing really doesn't matter if the Heat win or don't against the Celtics. Everyone's going to be kissing their ass all the way. I guarantee if the Heat take on the Celtics, they're going to do those stupid metrics where they say they have 3% chance to win again. So either way, I would love it though if the new look Heat just came and spanked Jason Tatum. And then all the Selly Moose are like, oh no, we still can't beat him.
I feel like Rozier has a chip on his shoulder too from his Boston days.
Of course he does, dude. Of course he does. Y'all chose Kyrie Irving over me. And then you guys hated his ass. Please. Hated him, dude. Of course he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to fit right in. Trust me, Marcos.
Isn't it weird you haven't really heard anything from Kyrie?
Nope.
That's actually true. Yeah, I haven't heard
nothing.
Haven't heard of Pete.
You've been balling.
He's been balling. Luka. But tonight, this team, they're probably taking on the most snake bit team in the league tonight. Memphis. Oof. Everything they've been dealing with this year.
Finally got job back, and then he's out for the year.
Crazy.
Within a week.
I know. And he was killing it too.
Killing it.
He was like that just has to be unbelievably depressing. Like if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, you just pull the plug and be like, you know what? Let's pull us a Spurs.
Probably
That's
best.
It's still no guarantee you're gonna get the.
Still a good pick though for a good team.
Yeah.
Washington, who did not Washington recently? Golden State did it. They just screwed it up. They took Wiseman.
Ugh, gross.
Well, because they needed a big.
Yeah, but like, you knew that wasn't gonna work. Come on.
You take the best player available, Leroy. Which may have been
I have said this, Marcos.
Yeah.
Depending on the draft, you could take the best player available to that draft. In that draft, say if you have the number one pick, you take the best overall player in that draft, and it doesn't work out. Would you consider it a failure, or just that the class wasn't as good as you thought? Because you can't pass up the pick. This happens in sports a lot. You know, in life, you can make the right decision and it not work out. That's a fact of life.
Yeah.
But for some reason, if all this evaluation of these players, and everybody seemed to be pretty consistent with who they pick, including, say, for example, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. All the rumors that came out about CJ Stroud. He ain't the best quarterback.
By the way, speaking of rumors, what's the word on the Michigan front? Is Harbaugh rats off a ship or what?
I don't know, man. I still haven't.
You know, come on, you know.
You know.
You know.
Let me
Don't act
explain
like you don't
something.
know.
Let me explain something to you. The chatter has not been one way or another. And even the national chatter, right? As much as they talk about it, nobody knows. Nobody knows, hey, did the Chargers even call Jim Harbaugh? Nobody knows.
I mean, he make up his mind. Does he want to go make the jump, or do you want to be a god in Michigan for the rest of your life?
Maybe he's waiting
Like
to see.
I love how you make everybody else's decisions cut and dry.
It is cut and dry.
I can't. If I ask you what you want to eat, you will kick the tires on that for an hour. But you want Jim Harbaugh to decide whether he's leaving or not.
That's not. No, you kick the tires on it for an hour, dude. Maybe 2.
Because
you're a lunch tire kicker.
No, I believe that it serves no purpose me getting something just for me when everybody else wants some too. So I kick the tires around. Hey, do you like this? Do you like this?
Would you just string people along for some great meals?
What do you mean?
Well, if you were this sought after, one would think that you're probably going to get wined and dined. If you were Jim Harbaugh, wouldn't you live up the recruitment tour?
I think he's over that. Like, you don't need the recruitment tour.
Yeah, I'm never over.
Right? They're already. I mean, think about it. You want to talk about big time? They're already sending a jet to come get you. Ain't no more big time than that.
You wouldn't really just mess with people. Like if I was Jim Harbaugh, I'd be like, all right, here's the thing. I'm thinking of, some revolutionary stuff here. And the owner's like, go on. It's going to change football. And he's like talking to the Chargers owner. And he's like, could you pass the lobster, please? Cracks it open. We're going to play Bosa at quarterback. Huh? That's right. Bosa. You can't have if you have a.
First of all, pick a healthier guy. Right? The Bosa's always hurt.
The Bosas are always hurt.
They're always hurt. I would say this.
Who's more hurt, the Bosas or the Watts?
Man, I was just thinking that.
Watts. It's a tie. It's a tie. There's just more Bosas right now.
Those Watts. They you want to talk about putting the extra growth on. It's interesting.
How about this? How do you feel about this? The Atlanta Falcons said they're still interviewing other people.
I would tell them if I was Belichick, I'd tell him to take a hike.
But here's the thing. Ain't a whole bunch of teams calling to get Bill Belichick.
Someone's going to call.
But they're not.
Someone's going to call. They're going to.
Maybe he should move to college.
No.
No way, dude. Come on.
I'm telling you right now, there's a couple of things Bill Belichick has no patience for. Young guys and younger guys.
2 guys got hired already, right? Like, so the Raiders went with Pierce, and then Cincinnati hired somebody. They hired some Callahan fella.
What?
Wait, not Cincinnati. They got a head coach.
No, Cincinnati. Who the hell hired somebody? Who hired that Callahan fella?
Wait, it was
Callahan fella.
Who hired that Callahan fella?
Who got
He's
fired?
from Cincinnati. Who hired him?
Brian? Bill Callahan? Nope. Brian Callahan. Titans.
Thank you, SDI. Appreciate it.
Brian Callahan.
Yeah. That's
hey, you know what's amazing? How teams hire people and we have not heard of them ever.
Yeah. Well,
right?
It was like Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, like nobody had heard of him. He was the only interview the Dolphins got was Mike McDaniel. He's the only interview. Nailed it.
Sometimes it works out.
Sometimes it does work out.
Sometimes here, let me say this. Sometimes the circumstance in which you get an opportunity don't matter. Right? It matters what you do with the opportunity. So everybody's like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? No, don't worry about it. He must be doing something right.
D Sizzle says, what about Belichick to the Bills if they fire McDermott? Can't see them doing that.
Streets need a body.
In the division?
Whew. I mean, I'd love it because Tua owns Bill Belichick, so please put him on the Bills.
From what I've been told, what I've been hearing, there's a lot of people who think the Atlanta situation is better than the Chargers situation.
Just why? Because they could go
the
get
overall team, the way the team is
they have a lot of talent.
They got a lot of talent, but they're older. A lot of stuff that needs to be fixed if you go to the Chargers.
Plus, you got that choking ass quarterback. He's always like, "Oh, it's the coach's fault."
Now, can I just say this? Is he the only reason why he's a choking ass quarterback?
Yeah,
is because a lot of people thought they should have taken him over Tua. If he wasn't in the conversation with Tua, you'd be talking totally different
about him.
Yeah,
probably. But he was. But I don't
say it.
I don't forget what the last 2 years was. I remember what people said.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna treat him how I want to treat him.
He had one good year, his rookie year, and
-1.
What's that for?
For leaning out of the camera.
I'm not leaning out of the camera.
Wow, that's what happens with the cropper.
I'm in the middle.
Why do you gotta bring me into this? It's not me.
She ordered that hit, dude.
She definitely ordered that hit. She's the only one who even knows.
You ordered the code red?
She definitely.
Jennifer, did you order the code red?
No, I didn't. Go back in the chat. I didn't say anything.
Oh, it's a private chat.
I tell you what, dude, you better not lean out of the camera with Wes Goldberg.
Yeah.
You better not lean out of the camera with Wes Goldberg. That's all I'm saying.
That Wes got a nice head of hair.
He does. He does. You know what?
Nice cap.
Random thing.
We'll let him know.
I'm just
What's
saying. You know, I notice things like this because, well,
You say, hey, Wes, you got a nice head of hair.
Got a nice head of hair, dude.
Yep.
If you guys missed it, we talked all things Terry Rozier with Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat. He joins us next. Miami Heat finally making a significant trade. Finally doing some roster changes, spicing things up around here, Leroy. Let's talk about it with our guy, Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat. He joins us on the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms, the Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. You can watch, listen to Wes Goldberg on the Locked On Heat podcast on YouTube, on every podcast platform. Him and Dave Vermeil, they're boots on the ground. They do a great job covering the Heat every single day. And we always like when he stops by on the program. What's going on, man? Where are you?
What's up,
What you
Wes?
got going on there? It's like, what are you in a cabin? You got some nice wood panel going on there?
Just one wood panel just to make it look like I'm in a cabin.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it, man.
Yeah. Smoke and mirrors.
What was your reaction yesterday? I think we all kind of felt like the Kyle Lowry thing was going to have some kind of a conclusion, but them actually pulling the trigger, it still was like, oh, finally, because we've been dealing in trade fodderville for a long time. So your reaction to the deal and it going down yesterday.
You know what? It was one of those things where even when you expect it, it's kind of surprising when it happens, right? I mean, the Kyle Lowry thing had clearly run its course. He had lost the starting job. It kind of felt like the team was looking for any excuse to kind of pull him from the starting lineup. The production was down. He literally ranked last in the league among starting point guards in points per game, shot attempts per game, and assists per game. And he's 37 years old on an expiring contract. You kind of combine all those things and the fact that Miami is sort of operating with a limited championship window, and it made sense that they were going to try and shop him. And then the Terry Rozier thing always made sense too. Charlotte's going nowhere fast. They stink. They have no reason to hold on to Terry Rozier. He's a good player. You move him, you get an expiring contract and a draft pick back for Charlotte. We had heard the Terry Rozier stuff, and we had talked about it on Locked On Heat. Like, this is sort of the guy that makes sense. And then you start actually hearing about, the Heat are actually looking at Terry Rozier because they think he's a fit. And up until, I would say, the night before, even at the Heat Gala, I was hearing stuff like they're really kind of kicking the tires on Terry Rozier, and this thing could happen sooner rather than later. And then, of course, the next morning, it all goes down.
So my question is this. Every time you add a new dynamic, and I think Kyle Lowry went through this. Kyle Lowry put up more shots and was more active when Jimmy or Tyler were out. And when they were playing, he tried to facilitate, which is against everything that the Heat believe in. They believe everybody go get their shot. When you don't have your shot, somebody else will be open, but you always push that envelope. What's going to happen when Terry gets here? And now you got Tyler, Bam, Jimmy, and Terry. Are we going to be in the same boat? Like everybody's going to try to, sit back and let the other guy eat, because in effect, you're in the same boat with a better player.
Right. It's going to be clunky at first. I don't think anybody expects this thing to be smooth right away. And you've got to try to figure out how to get those four guys that you were just talking about, Leroy, on the court at the same time for as many minutes as possible now so that they can iron out some of those kinks. But Jimmy doesn't want to be taking a bunch of shots. Right. Bam is probably taking too many shots right now. And I think his defense has slipped a little bit from maybe, top 5 guy in the league to maybe top 10. But he could not take as many shots and maybe put even more energy in on the defensive end and kind of go for this Defensive Player of the Year award that he wants so badly. So I think all of this is going to be good. If Terry Rozier kind of takes more off of those guys' plates, Jimmy Butler could be more of a two-way presence. Bam Adebayo could be more of a two-way presence and be maybe a little bit more efficient and not have to force as many shots as he does, especially late in shot clocks lately. It's been a lot of him trying to bail out the offense. If you have another guy who's able to run pick and roll, and Terry Rozier, this is like a Synergy Sports stat, is like the second highest rated pick and roll handler in the NBA this season. Like, he is a good pick and roll player. You put him, and he was doing that with a bunch of like no-name guys in Charlotte, like Nick Richards and stuff. You put him with maybe the best screen setter in the NBA and Bam Adebayo, one of the best roll guys in the NBA. Like, that pick and roll attack could be deadly. And then, of course, you're talking about what happens with Tyler Hero. I think Spo will stagger Rozier and Tyler Hero in their minutes so that one of them is always on the court and they're probably not sharing the court as much together. But when Rozier and Tyler Hero do play together, maybe that puts Tyler Hero off the ball a little bit more. And Tyler Hero was even talking about this at practice yesterday about how, both him and Terry Rozier can operate on the ball. They can operate off the ball. So they're going to have to figure out sort of the best chemistry of all those things. But that's why you do that trade. now, as opposed to waiting all the way until February 8th, is so you get your guys as much time as possible to figure these things out.
How desperate do you think they were, Wes, just to get some kind of offensive punch? Because we know that the franchise's identity is defense, but you see every night just the crazy scoring. You got to be able to keep up. Like you can't go and win these body blow contests every single night. You're gonna wear out, and there's gonna be a night where some teams just get hot anyway. So just the idea that they kind of had to get with the times a little bit with their roster. Do you think that was an important factor in making a move like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this team was 20th on offense. They stunk. Like they couldn't score. This is a team that was going 6 of 8 games without cracking 100 points or something like that. This team had a hard time scoring, and even when they did score, it wasn't the most efficient shots. This team is so reliant on mid-range jumpers and the three-pointer. They barely get to the rim, and that was the reason why I think Terry Rozier was such a good fit for them. Terry Rozier takes 4.5 shots at the basket within the restricted area. Not these cute foul line jumpers or sort of in the paint. At the basket. He gets 4.5 attempts at the basket per game this year. That's twice what Tyler Hero gets. It's more than 4 times what Kyle Lowry was averaging. It's the equivalent of adding sort of another Jimmy Butler and a Bam Adebayo into the offense in terms of what they get at the rim. And I think that rim pressure is so important because we already see what Jimmy and Bam can do from a rim pressure standpoint. They get to the basket, and what do? They either score, they get fouled, or they kick out to those three-point shooters. Terry Rozier is going to help that drive that formula on offense. And by the way, we have sort of seen Eric Spoelstra acknowledge that this team needs to get better offensively. A lot of the lineups that he's been playing have been leaning more offense. Nikola Jovic starting 10 games. You're not doing that for defense, man. You're doing that for offense. Playing Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson more often together. I know some injuries are a factor here, but he has been more willing over about the last year and a half to play those guys together more, despite some of the defensive shortcomings that they have. In today's NBA, it's actually more important to be a top 10 offense than it is to be a top 10 defense. We're starting to see that trend. The Denver Nuggets last year, the Milwaukee Bucks the year before that, the Phoenix Suns got to the NBA Finals with a similar formula. You have to basically be top 10 in defense or in offense and be kind of in the top 12 to 13 defensively. Miami's 10th in defensive rating. They were 20th on offensive rating. They just had to get better.
That's because of the three-point shot, right? Everybody shoots the ball so well from outside. You can't just hunker down and play defense because somebody will just take a 30-footer.
Yeah, and teams come back now too. I mean, you can hold a team to 90 points until 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the next thing you know, because of that three-point shot, they can make 4 3-pointers in a row, and boom, you've just given up 100+ points in that game. So, leads aren't safe. And the other thing too is that a lot of these top 10 offenses have guys who can score easy buckets. Whether it's Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, all these guys are just big and strong and can just get their shots. The Heat don't really have that guy. Jimmy Butler can sort of be that guy in the postseason, but even then, he's sort of muscling his way into shots. I wouldn't consider any of Jimmy Butler's shot making in the playoffs as much as it is easy, right? They don't really have an easy shot creator, and that's why I think their offense tends to struggle and rely on some of those more inefficient spots, like in the mid-range. But if you're go ahead.
Yeah, it's also with Jimmy. It's such a strange thing. I was looking at this yesterday. We were looking at all the crazy scoring numbers, and Jimmy's if you go to his postseason record, 13 out of his top 15 are with the Heat. Do you out of his regular season, 2? He's never scored 40 in the regular season with the Heat. It's weird.
Right.
And I'm all for, hey, we can do it against anybody and take the play in, and that's great, but who wouldn't want it to be a little easier if you can make your path a little bit easier? I mean, you don't have to ram your head into this.
70 points the other night. Karl-Anthony Towns had 62 in a loss. You have people routinely scoring 30, 40 points per game. You have multiple players averaging 30 or close to it this season. The Heat don't even come close to that. And I always say this about Jimmy Butler. The Heat have a postseason superstar. They do not have a regular season superstar. And you look at the top teams in the league, and they have regular season superstars. So if you don't have, that's whatever. That's the Jimmy Butler way. That's his strategy. He's going to hold it until the playoffs. But you need to win games in the regular season, right? You have to get into the playoffs. You don't want to be in the play-in mix. You got to try to get some home court advantage, maybe a top 4 seed in the East. So if you're not going to get that superstar, which we know the Heat have been looking for, right? Whether it was Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, whatever, Damian Lillard, obviously, they couldn't get those guys. All right, well, if we're not going to get that guy, then let's just have a bunch of different guys who might be able to go off for 30+ points on any given night. If we're not going to be able to rely on one, can we just sort of increase our variance with a Terry Rozier in addition to Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler? Those 3 guys can go off for 30. Kyle Lowry wasn't ever going off for 30 points again, right? We've already seen his last 30-point game. Terry Rozier could go off for 30 points in multiple games for the rest of the season. And so I think that's sort of the bet.
We were wondering this, Wes, because we were talking about the connection of Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. For them being together for 5 seasons seems way more clunky than it should have been. It feels like it's gotten clunkier. Like I feel like Bam and Tyler used to have a little something together. I don't know. It just seems more of a mess this year. Do you feel like adding Terry and maybe getting Jaime back will fix that? Or do you think that the Heat are looking at these next couple of weeks and Tyler's kind of the guy you got to keep your eye on because they're not getting rid of Jimmy, they're not getting rid of Bam. Do you think there's still a big shuffle this team could make, knowing that if this seems like what it is, where like these guys just aren't in this kind of synergy together, that maybe we got to blow something up there too with our stars? Or do you think that they're going to give them one run this year and see where it's at? Because it's a big year for Tyler to prove that he can be a playoff player.
They're going to give him one more run. We'll see these guys in the playoffs all together trying to get it. But I think also part of the clunkiness, and you're absolutely right, they've been trying to work in some of these other players. Like you're working in Nikola Jovic here. You're kind of playing 4-on-5 a lot when Kyle Lowry was on the court. Even if your 4 were Bam, Tyler, Jimmy, and somebody else, it's really hard to function offensively. You look at some of this pick and roll stuff, even with Tyler and Bam, if they run pick and roll, everybody's crashing the paint. That's why it also kind of looks clunky. This team had no room to operate because Kyle Lowry was a non-threat on offense, and that's why he ultimately ended up going to the bench. You need to have people who are threats to kind of space out the floor and stuff. So I think there's going to be a domino effect with the Terry Rozier signing here because it gives extra ball handling. You're not forcing Josh Richardson to play out of position as a quote unquote point guard, so he could play off the ball a little bit more, get into those catch and shoot attempts. You're not worried opponents aren't going to be able to play off of Kyle Lowry. You have to respect Terry Rozier across the 3-point arc. You have to do all these things. And I think that's going to create space for everybody else. And I don't think that you necessarily need to have Nikola Jovic start anymore because of what he brings offensively. You can almost lean defense there, go Haywood Highsmith again at the 4 spot, have him space the floor from the corners. And then it's less, hey, we need Nico to get his touches. We need Lowry to kind of do some stuff over here. How can we function Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo together? When does Jimmy Butler want to take over? When do we need to let Jaime Jaquez cook? And all these things. If you're less worried about all those kind of other pieces, then you can kind of start to find some chemistry. I just think that they've been trying to work through the other options, and they didn't really focus so much on the thing that they already know, which is Bam and Tyler can run pick and roll together. We're not worried about that. Jimmy Butler's going to take over in the postseason. We're not worried about that. But what are these other things? And I think they just got to figure out the answers to those other things, and then they can kind of refocus everything onto where their best actions are offensively.
Is a lot of this because they were playing 4-on-5? You started seeing a lot of other guys trying to be aggressive and get the ball in the paint. So Dunks has gotten that game. And we almost lost a lot of the 3-point shooting because guys were trying to be aggressive and get to the rim and create fouls and stuff like that when they should be shooting threes. Like me and Tobin had this conversation earlier. Listen, I love the fact that Dunks has opened up his bag a little bit and got, and expanded on his game, but you're our 3-point shooter.
Right.
And he can't do that because, nobody's fouling. When he's not making threes, it looks even worse offensively. And so he developed other things so that when he wasn't making threes, he could still play.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this all along. I thought okay, cool. You can make a layup now. That's cute. And it's great. And I think it helps when guys close out hard on you, but you're above average as a layup maker, as a driver. You're elite. You're top 1% in the league at making threes. We need you doing the thing that you're the best in the league at versus, doing the thing that you're okay at more often than not. And I did think that he was trying to I thought the layups were there, but sometimes I'd rather just have a contested 3-pointer from Duncan Robinson than an open layup, as crazy as that sounds, because like you were saying, you need to hit a threshold of 3-point shot attempts per game. Miami is top 5 in the league in 3-point percentage, or have been for most of the year. But they're kind of in the middle of the pack in terms of field goal attempts. Right, exactly. Yeah. Get more of them up. I would trust a contested 3-pointer from Duncan Robinson. Give me 3 of those a game. I have no problem with that. There's a reason why the coaching staff has given him the green light. Now, obviously, if the layups are there, you got to attack it, but you can't fall in love with it in a weird way if you're Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson also knows this. He doesn't take mid-range shots because he knows Tyler, Jimmy, and Bam are eating up the mid-range shots. So he knows if I'm taking those mid-range shots, I've talked to him about this. Like, he's like, if I'm taking them, then we're just even more inefficient. I can only do at the basket, and I can only take shots from three-point range. And I think more players kind of have to figure that part out. But also when the stuff at the rim is there, they have to take it. The other night against Toronto, no Jakob Poeltl, no Pascal Siakam, and that team just fell in love with the three-point shot, even though it wasn't falling. Sometimes you also just got to say, you know what, the heck with the three-pointer. If we have those drives at the basket available, we got to force the issue. The one thing that this team can't fall in love with are the long two-pointers. That's the thing that they can't fall in love with, and they have to work through that and try to move some of that stuff out of the offense and replace some of those shots with either threes or shots at the basket.
Before we get you out of here, Wes, what the hell was your reaction to the Milwaukee Bucks firing their coach?
Like, again, sort of with the Kyle Lowry thing, kind of expected it to happen eventually, but a little surprised that it happened now, right? And so, look, Adrian Griffin was never the guy. He never made sense for them. He was a rookie coach trying to coach a championship contending team. And as soon as Giannis was out, man, he's pulling the LeBron James playbook, isn't he? Like, he's like, as soon as I'm out, he's out. As soon as I'm not buying in, that guy's fired. So we'll see if Doc Rivers can right the ship for them. But, you know, based on what we've seen earlier this season, I know the record was good, but that team was discombobulated. They weren't locked in defensively.
Scored on. So, I mean, I've never, they give up 125, they got to score 140 to win.
And a lot of people would pin in on, well, you lost Drew Holiday and replaced him with Damian Lillard. Okay, yeah, that's going to drop your defensive rating, obviously. But when you're not even getting back in transition, that's not a personnel issue. That's a coaching issue. That, you know, like if you're not getting back in transition, you're not boxing out, rebounding. Like if you have Giannis and Brook Lopez, you should still be an elite, and Bobby Portis, you should be an elite rebounding team. And they weren't. So they just weren't locked in. They weren't buying in. And I think that's why they think Doc Rivers is going to work, is because the idea, at least, is he can get them to buy in. And they weren't buying in under Adrian Griffin.
He's Wes Goldberg, Locked On Heat. Go check him and Dave Ramil out. Their podcast is fantastic on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Locked On Heat. You can get it on the Odyssey app as well. Appreciate the time, Wes. Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.